Yeah, man. So first things first, mate, thanks so much for coming on.
You're very welcome.
Like, sound for coming down, proper appreciate it. But mate, one of the topics you wanted to touch on was your ayahuasca.
Yes.
I mean, we've got a massive interest in that sort of thing.
Really?
Bro, it's in the locker. I'm ready for, well, I'm not ready for it yet. How old are you now?
33.
33. I'm 27. So like 5 years time, I'm ready for it.
Well, look, this is the thing. If you're hearing it pop up into your life a lot more, then it's that kind of time that it's your calling, ready to do it. Like if you hear it in passing once, it's like, yeah, cool, okay, that's what it is. But when it just pops up more and more regularly, it's that kind of calling for you. Like I've done 9 ceremonies now.
Mate, that is mental.
It's not what people make it out to be. Like people give you these stories of like don't get me wrong, you trip balls and fucking hard sometimes. Like I think my 7th ceremony, I was in a place where like, okay, about an hour into the ceremony, he'll go, does anyone want an extra cup? Normally I'm like, yeah.
That's a bit of us, isn't it?
Oh yeah. But I'm like, yeah. Straight out. Like this one time I was just like, fucking no. I was on my hands and knees with my hands in my head just going, fuck, is this going to end? It's only been an hour. Shit. It was intense. It was just constant thoughts, constant just overwhelming. Like at one point I was like, I think I'm going to freak the fuck out. But I had to just control myself and have that breath and be like, okay, cool. I'm here for a reason. This is what it is. But like the last 2 ceremonies were exactly what was needed. So I'm leaving the UK in about a month and a half. And what it did for me was it was like a kind of finish off, like going through a divorce, going through some massive changes in my life. So I'm like, I need this moment. So we did 2 nights, Monday, Tuesday. And
Where to?
So we went up to Newcastle.
Okay,
So
cool.
We've got 2 shamans up there. They're beautiful people.
What actually is a shaman?
So shaman, these guys will guide you through the ceremony. So what they'll do is they'll...
Wizards.
Yeah, practically. Gods, literal gods. But they guide you through the ceremony. So they'll protect the room. They'll protect yourself with, they use a smoke called mapacho. It's like a tobacco. They'll basically protect the room. They go through certain rituals. And then as you go into the ceremony is they basically sing songs the entire way through. And what this does is it guides you through different parts of the journey.
Sounds spooky, mate.
I mean, I tell you what, it's fucking, there's one thing he does, which I've never heard in my life. It's like he speaks in tongue. He does like a healing where he just makes all these noises, sucks out bad energy out of you. And you're like, how can any human make that noise? But he doesn't. It's wild.
Do you actually think, and like, I understand like it is, huge in terms of like the changes, but like when you say he sucks bad energy out of you, do you actually feel that?
Well, some people do, some people don't. So right. It's all perspective and perception. So it's like, I've never felt him sucking some of the energy out of me, but I feel lighter at the end of it. Other people have been like, as they're in the middle of the trip, they can actually visualize like a dark ball of energy, just everything kind of coming up through that sort of area that he's working on. Like, because everyone's experience is going to be different during it. So I went 2 nights, and the first night ayahuasca normally knows that you're here for 2 nights. So your ceremony technically starts 2 weeks out, where you have to do the diet, you have to remove certain foods, there's like no sex for 7 days, no drugs and alcohol for like 2 weeks, no caffeine. Like you have to just start removing stuff to make your body as pure as possible and to protect your energy. And the first night, I had this other guy that joined me for the ceremony. And I was like, okay, what's going to come from this? I know it's going to be a light one, but what's going to come from this?
Why did you know it was going to be a light one?
So because I know there's going to be 2 nights. So the second night is usually going to be a lot more intense.
Right.
But there was also someone else there, which is a friend of theirs who he needed to go through a healing. So they invited him on. So I knew that he was more going to be the focus of that ceremony. What he actually brought in was a hang drum. So a hang drum is I don't know if you know what a hang drum is. Yeah. It's this beautiful, I don't even know how to describe it. It's beautiful oval
sphere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like half a sphere. And
that thing. So I've always wanted one, and he actually brought it to the ceremony. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Okay, and he let me play it afterwards, and I'm like, done. I'm getting a hang drum. He also gave me a Dropbox with about 15 hours worth of lessons on how to play one. So I was like, okay, that's something I've always wanted. This is amazing. Then through the trip, again, it was more kaleidoscopic visuals, nothing too crazy. But it was more like in-depth, introspective, okay, running over certain things. one thing I lost over my previous relationship is really who I was. So it was, I'm not going to go into the depths of kind of how it was, but I really lost who I was. And I questioned myself a lot, especially when I came out of it. And therapy helped with a lot of that. But again, the ayahuasca was a big thing of it. And one thing I needed was, what are my hobbies? I hid in work and I hid in bodybuilding and performing because that took me away from the reality of some of the pain that I was facing throughout the relationship. So, and don't worry, my relationship, I wouldn't change it for the world. I had a great time. There's highs and lows. She's a beautiful person inside and out, but there's just things there that unfortunately didn't work. But anyway, so I worked out I want to get into playing hang drum. I want to relearn to do aerial straps because I started that before COVID, then stopped obviously once COVID hit. I want to get better performing with my dragon staff, which is like, it's a flow toy. So something I can spin around my body. It looks magic. I'll show you guys a video later. I also want to learn to backflip. So my best mate's going to teach me to backflip because why not be a big guy and learn to fucking backflip? So it was those things that I was like, okay, get my hobbies back, things that are me. Then I kind of ran through a lot of work, things I needed to do, which that was basically my first trip. Second night, actually my ex had emailed me during that period and I tried to avoid a lot of it.
Email is also, when you know it can be quite toxic, right? Because
well, we kept it to email. I said all the conversation is an email.
Yeah, like that's how you know, like it's gone past the point of no return.
Exactly. So she emailed me and I was like, I tried to avoid it and it was like, fuck. Okay.
You read it, didn't you?
Oh, of course I read it.
Yeah.
I had to. But I spoke to my shaman and he was like, messaged you on this day, didn't you? Yeah, okay. This is a part of what you've got to go through. It's meant to happen. So we went back and forth the morning of the second day, just speaking about a few things about divorce. And then I went into the ceremony now because it was only me and him this time. I said to him, I was like, can I make a double bed? Can I make it nice and cushy? So I've got so much space. I saw that.
Fucked it. I saw that. He's dropping it down himself.
Casual. But I was like, I would need to be, because normally you're on a single bed, a single mattress. I was like, no, here, I want a big one. I want a space that I can be free, that I can surrender and just have this. So I made it like a cushion, like a cloud.
You're a big guy as well, mate.
Yeah, I was thinking a single bed ain't going to work for you anyway, bro.
I actually don't realize sometimes how big I am. I'm serious. I literally think I'm a normal human. So yeah, he gave me the drink and normally he gives you about 25 mils. He gave me 40 mils this time.
Where are you, by the way? Like, paint a picture. Like, are you in the forest? Like,
no.
Like, what is like the scenery?
So we're actually at their house. So the good thing about not doing it here and not in the jungle is you're not in you'll be in pitch darkness or pitch black, but you won't be lying on the floor with bugs crawling over you. You won't be uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Yeah, this one, and plus the actual ayahuasca out there is more like a slick, thick sludge. Where here it's just like drinking a disgusting shot.
Okay.
So you're inside in one of the bedrooms. You've got all the music around them. If there's other people in there, there's normally a couple of different mattresses. But obviously this one was just myself.
Bro, do you ever feel a bit weary about the other people there?
So you can. The first time I did it, I was with my ex-wife and a friend, so it was good. But the idea is you want to be you're on your own journey. Now there are people that do go into this and they worry about everything. They worry about what someone else is going to think, what the shaman's going to think. They got so much they hold back that they don't allow the experience to happen, which it's a waste, but also that means you're not ready. There's a lot that you have to give into. Like, it is a lot of a surrender. I don't know if you guys have done psychedelics before.
Yeah, we've done mushrooms, but nothing on that level.
Yeah, so think of it like mushrooms. Like with mushrooms, you can it can hit you out of nowhere. You can be like, oh, I feel something, next thing you go, boom, and you're like, fuck. Like it can be like that, but if you surrender to it and I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually really beautiful. Like, okay, it's good because it shows you ayahuasca shows you what you need, not what you want. So you may go in there going, oh, I want to heal this. I want to heal my addiction to this. Yet next, you're facing something completely different because that's the part of the journey you're meant to have. So I created this mattress, which I said was like a giant cloud. It was fucking so comfortable, and got into the ceremony and it started coming on slightly. And I was like, oh, I kind of need to stretch. So I leant forward to stretch and then I was like, oh no, I'm going to be sick. So I leant forward because the other thing with ayahuasca is some people will purge, some people won't, but everyone's purge is different. Like my main purge was either laughing or farting. Other people, I've been sick as well, but other people, it's different for everyone.
And when you say purge, that's the release of the bad energy.
Yeah,
I already know. I'm going to be a Chandra.
Yeah.
I'm going to be. I know I can't manage
mate, that was my first one. Bro, I was laughing and farting because I was in front of my mother ayahuasca.
Cal, you could be a laugher, mate.
I'll be a laugher.
Yeah,
Mate, I'll be a laugher without doubt.
I'm 1,000% a Chandra.
I mean, mate, if you're going to be a laugher, you're going to have a great
I
time.
love it.
Fuck's sake.
Dude, my first one, I was like in front of, like, first ceremony, I was in front of this totem pole of like 1,000 faces, and I'm like, okay, that's mother ayahuasca shit. Okay, cool. Then I farted, and I was like, I farted in front of like this sacred spirit. Then I laughed, then I farted because I laughed, and I laughed because I farted. It was a horrible cycle. Horrible cycle. But yeah, so I started stretching like I'm gonna be sick, and then I leant forward to be sick, and I was like, okay, close my eyes. And like, have you seen the movie Ants?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I have.
Okay. So like,
You're one of the ants in you, bro.
I was actually in an ant's nest, and I could see down into the colony, and I was like, this is wow. Mind you, everything's kaleidoscopic at the moment. Like I can just see the shapes of everything. And I'm like, okay, there's negative energy there. I need to bring this up. So I started focusing on trying to bring a ball of black energy up. And I was like, okay, that's not what it is. It's not what it is. And as soon as I kind of released, a door opened, and I went through this door, and it became really, really light.
Is this like a visualization that you're experiencing on ayahuasca or whatever it is?
Ayahuasca, yeah. So because I had eyes closed, and I said, think of, again, being on mushrooms, you close your eyes, there's beautiful kaleidoscopic visuals. Yeah. It's think of that, or think of what we're seeing now, just everything's kaleidoscopic. So I could see you open a door, all that sort of stuff. So as soon as that happened, I kind of relaxed, and then I started crying, because I was like, I started being grateful for who I am as a person, because I don't step back and recognize a lot of these things. I don't step back and look at what I've achieved or just how I've grown. So there was that of who I've become, the growth I've had over the past few months since the breakup, the love, like, because I was in this cloud, I was starting to roll around, and I just felt warm, loving energy. And then I actually said to the shaman when he finished his song, I was like, bro, I'm so fucking grateful for you. I'm just grateful for everything. I just bawling my eyes out. And then as I was doing that, because I was rolling around, I thought this would be funny. Wonder what he sees. Wonder what he's looking at when I'm doing this. So I started giggling, and then he stopped the next song and goes, it's okay, bro, let it out. As soon as he said let it out, because I knew no one else was there, I was in hysterics. I was laughing so hard, rolling around, hitting the ground. Fucking every noise I made was funnier, because I thought I made that noise. I was broken. Then he finished the next song and goes, it's funny because you're like a big giant silly baby in a cot, which broke me again. And as I started coming out of that, as I was like, then I started throwing up again. And then I went to kind of next stage, and I grabbed a blanket and
I thought you were about to say him.
Mate, I wanted to.
You grabbed him in the face, thinking, fuck.
Mate, every bit of me as he came closer, I was like, I want to hug you, I want to touch you.
He's thinking this is fucking risky, bro.
Mate, this is about to get weird. This is going to get weirder. I started like hugging the blanket and kind of rubbing my head, and I was, oh fuck, that feels good. Then I started biting my lip, and I was like, oh shit. Now, you're not meant to have sex with me.
Fuck off.
Hold on. You're not meant to have sex for like 2 weeks beforehand. And next you know, is I'm just biting my lip, I'm grinding the mattress. So I'm just like, oh my God.
That juice is getting you, bro.
Oh, bro.
Wait, are you dry? So you're dry humping?
I'm literally dry humping the mattress. I'm like, wait, wait. It's going to break you this next bit.
Imagine watching that.
Being the shaman.
Thinking shit is about to go down.
The next thought that went through my head was like, I wonder what I can do here. Is it too far to have a wank in the middle of a ceremony?
Nah, the shaman's like, this guy, I'm out.
I said to him at the end, I was like, guessing that was too far? He goes, yeah, it's too far.
Did you do it?
No, fuck no. Oh. No, I trust me. The thought went there. I was like, maybe I can grind this out.
Grind it out
on the mattress. We all been there, bro. We all been there.
It's been years. Fucking why not?
That's class.
Oh yeah. But dude, it was the most empowering.
Like I thought he was gonna get raped, mate.
I mean, dude, Trust me, mate. If he came fucking any closer to me,
it was game over, bro.
It's mine, but
Jesus, imagine that story to the other shamans. This bodybuilder guy trying to rape me.
mate, when I told him at the end of it, he just looked at me and I was like,
even more creepy. Oh, that's so good, mate. But obviously,
yeah.
I know, just to pull back on it, like, what after obviously the grinding and whatnot, what was actually like the process after? Like, how did, because obviously you felt great.
Yeah, I felt great, but then I was sick again. So I started to realize that in between each emotion that I'm feeling is that I purge it out.
Yeah.
And that's coming out. So the next part was like, I started diving into my previous relationship, and a lot of it was how much I miss my ex, how much I love my ex, and how much I really treasure and appreciate the moments that we have had, but also the anger and the hurt and the pain, because no matter what I've said, like through all the emails and stuff we've been having over the past fucking ages ago, I mean, she took to social media and posted something on social media that should not have been put on social media. And that was done out of pure anger. Now I know that, and I see that in her, because I was always told that I don't see her, I don't understand her, which is whatever. But I knew that's exactly what it was. So instead of me reacting, I kind of pulled back and I was just like, you do you. Like at the end of the day, the way I see it, the one who screams the loudest is the one that's at fault.
And also, like, girls are, more emotional, so they react like that more so than men.
It was. And also, look, me and her both have ADHD. We both got all sorts of different things. So I could see the parts of her of why she's reacted like this without thinking and all that. Anyway, what got the pain that's actually got me is she's had months to apologize, and she's given me the empty apologies of, I must have hurt you because of how much you're hurting me. Oh, I took the post down because it was because I worded it badly. Like there was no accountability. These things that I was always told that I don't know how to do it was happening right in front of me. And for the past 13 weeks, she's had the time to write an apology, type an apology, get someone to read it, reread it, make sure it comes across as genuine as possible. It hasn't. And through the experience, I was just like, I was in pain because I'm like, you've told me these things so many times where I was forgetting who I was, but you can't even see this. You've had so many opportunities. I've literally put it in black and white for you. I apologize, go deep, do this. And she hasn't and won't. And even still was like, I just want to can I get you on camera so we can apologize? And it's like, no, like that's your strength. You're very good at getting me on camera and making me feel like, oh my God, I want you back, because I'm in a position of I still love you. But no, this is where it needs to help. So that's why the pain was there. And I was like, as soon as I was able to feel that pain and kind of move through it, like, yeah, part of me was like, okay, let's have this phone call with her, but I need to have this phone call, if I do, on my own terms of, no, like you say exactly what you want to say, because she was actually emailing because she goes, I want you back. I realized what I've lost. But I'm like, you can say what you want to say, but if that's the case, then I jump on and I tell you exactly why I'm hurt, how much I'm fucking hurt. And this is no thing of us getting back together, because you just don't understand. But what I've come to realize again through the ceremony is she won't understand.
Yeah. And also, like, from what you're saying, it's kind of like from your perspective, you want closure, right?
Yeah.
Rather than like, to rekindle things. Yeah,
exactly. I just want it to be, fuck, I'm actually sorry, I really hurt you that bad, and actually go deep.
Yeah.
So that was that next part. Then I threw up, and then I was kind of in a nice, really calm, happy spot. Then he came and did the healing on me. Now the healing, he lies you on his stomach, and you basically.
It's getting risky again, isn't it?
I mean, look, my horniness was gone.
You're over that. Oh yeah.
He was safe.
Yeah, nice.
He was safe.
No happy endings.
Oh yeah. Fucking damn it. But yeah, then he basically goes through and looks around your back, and it's like he's speaking in tongue. It's the weirdest thing I've ever. It's wild. It's like it sounds demonic. But he's basically finding the energy throughout your back, and then what he'll do is he'll literally suck the energy out, keep sucking the energy out from different areas. Then he puts his hand on your back, and then he purges out everything that he's actually got out of you. And
what, like how?
He literally just starts throwing it up. Like literally just purges everything out that he's dragged out of you.
That is mental.
Mate, this is what I mean.
That on the floor?
No, we all got buckets.
Oh, right. Okay,
Thankfully,
cool.
we all got buckets.
That does sound like demonic.
It does.
Trust me, you listen to it, you go, what the fuck? The first time I heard it, I was like, what the fuck's going on here?
How are you feeling when it's coming out of you?
I was very chilled. I was kind of towards the end of the actual visuals and everything else. So I was just in a very calm, chilled, comfortable spot. But then after he'd finished, like he gave me a hug at the end of it. And then it was actually, that's normally towards the end of the ceremony. And as he says, it's healing time. I was like, was that time already? So that my trip was like 3 hours. It was long. Yeah. And then as soon as he finished that, I kind of sat up with a smile on my face, and I was just like, I knew some of the songs as well, so I could sit there and kind of sing along with some of them and do all that. And then he finished the ceremony, and I was just like, fucking wow. And it was a lot to process. Like, it was a lot to process, a lot to work through. Like, you still, with ayahuasca, it can be life-changing, but it's only life-changing if you choose to make the changes that you're shown. Like, you could be an alcoholic and you could go, oh shit, I saw my own death or whatever it is. But then when you leave, it's like, I'll never drink again. It's up to you. You still have to make that. It's like when you're building a business or anything else, you can have everything in front of you. You can be shown what to do, but it's you that has to do it. So that was basically it. So you take a couple of days to process. Again, like, I'm still processing if I was going to have the phone call with her or not. Probably not, because I don't think she deserves it. But I feel fucking fantastic, man. I feel so light. My sleep is incredible. I feel like I have my confidence back. I feel like I have me back, but I feel it's been a great way for the next step of what I'm about to go into.
Do you think everyone should go through that experience at one time?
100%.
Yeah.
Like, look, it's not for everyone. If you're taking certain antipsychotic medication or anything like that, or things where you're maybe a bit too far, then it's probably not going to be good for you. If you do have things that need to be addressed, like if you're, what was it? So there's a therapist called Marissa Peer. I was listening to one of her podcasts, a podcast on the greatness podcast, School of Greatness, sorry. And she was talking about how she works in certain therapies and talking about how, say, someone who may experience excessive headaches, they go, well, I don't know why I'm getting constant headaches. But then if you go back through their childhood and look into their past, it was like potentially as a child, if mum and dad were arguing, the child's natural response was, mum and dad will stop arguing if I have a headache because I'm in pain, so mum and dad will stop. And then as you grow older, it becomes a thing as excessive headaches. So if you've got something that's holding you back, you don't know what it is, whatever it may be, or you feel you could be doing something more, this is a good experience for you to be able to go back and basically help you dive into, oh shit, that's something that what it is. You can address those things. You can feel those feelings that are holding you back and feel them till they no longer need to be felt. Because once you do that and you go through what may be holding you back, the thing that you're suppressing, if you can experience that in a safe space, you're around some good people. If you can do that, then you give yourself that chance to go and grow. Because I always felt like when we're faced with a challenge, something that's in our way, it's causing us grief or whatever it is, that's the universe's message to go, cool, that's your next challenge.
Do you think that, and I'm completely with you on that, do you think, because what I've heard about it is in relation to the ego and how like it will break down your ego and allow for you to sort of actually look at yourself in a honest way.
Yeah.
So like your experience sounds like it's very in line with like your current experiences. Obviously you've done it 9 or 10 or 11 times or whatever, but like, did you ever find yourself like looking at yourself and being like, this isn't really who I want to be? Because you mentioned about like sort of the change and whatever else. Like, is that kind of how it sort of stems through?
Again, I think everyone's is different. So like through my journeys, like on the first one, when they went through, they did my healing, did everything else on me. They came at the end. It was like, I actually fell asleep after that and they had to wake me up at the end of it. And they're like, you're a really pure soul, which is obviously a beautiful thing to hear, but it's also like my upbringing has been very good. I'm very close to my family. I'm very things like that. And there are times in my life, like when I was in the army back in Australia, like I was a rat bag. I did nothing but drink. We did nothing to, we had that horrible thing of counting how many women you were sleeping with because it was one for the boys and all that sort of stuff.
It must be hard to not do that though when you're in that environment and the culture.
Oh mate, 100%.
It's normal, isn't it?
You get sucked into it, don't you?
It is. And it's in the army, alcohol is currency. Like I spent more time drunk than I did doing anything else.
which I find really strange considering it's like army. So do you know what I mean? It's like you're going out to battle with like, it's camaraderie. So alcohol for me doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really fit. I don't know why.
Army boys are usually loose though, aren't they?
They're not.
Yeah.
So when you're in barracks, when you're not overseas and all that sort of stuff, it is a great way of bonding.
Sure.
But it's also like I've seen some stupid things, especially on Anzac Day back in Australia. I've seen literally, how was it? It was within your own unit. So you'll have different parts of your unit, which will be, say, transport, signals, Q store, all this sort of stuff. You'll protect your own person, your own group. But then when you get out of your unit, and you'll then protect, if there's an argument between two different units, you'll then protect your unit. But then if there's with a different corps, you'll then protect against different corps. And then if it's the military army, you'll protect against the Navy. So it's a weird dynamic. And I've seen people get in there and just fight each other for the sake of fighting each other. I don't agree with a lot of the drinking that goes on in the army and a lot of the other shit that goes on with it. I don't, but that's a completely different story.
Yeah.
Anyway, but for my personal growth, I think a combination of things that I've been through, like look, the traveling helped me become a lot more open to people, culture, everything else. Coming from Australia and then living in the UK, it's helped me really grow that way. Going through therapy, going through the experiences that I've had in life, the moments that I've spent with people where I'm like, oh, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Plus the ayahuasca, plus using psychedelics as mushroom, like psychedelic meditations, doing breathwork classes, doing ice bath, doing all these things, I think are a culmination of me being able to become the person that I want to be because I see the growth in myself. And ayahuasca, I think, helps get call that stuff surface level, where ayahuasca helps you come deep below and kind of then solidify everything.
And that's what I thought you were going to say in terms of like the depth of it. That's I'm really keen to try it. I don't know about you, because I think about I am someone who does have an ego. Like it is part of who I am to a certain degree. And sometimes I feel like my ego completely overtakes my decision-making process. Yeah. And when that happens, and then after I look back on it and I'm like, at least I'm conscious enough to think I probably shouldn't have acted in that way, but the temper gets in the way or whatever else gets in the way. And I think if I was to do something like that, I'd probably be able to unpack some of that.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, where does that come from?
Well, I know, to be fair, like a fair bit of it comes from like a few certain key areas in my life a few key incidences in my life that have sort of made me the way I am today. Yeah. And I know it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know it, and same with you. I'm sure there's a few incidences with you, right? Yeah. But aren't you interested to see like what you unpack?
Without doubt. I mean, I had a surface level experience by doing a breathwork class. Yeah. About a month ago or so. Like, I'm sure you mentioned you did it as well. Yeah. But so yeah, I've had like the surf level experience. But how much deeper does the ayahuasca go than something like that? Because I actually come off the back of that breathwork experience. The only way I could describe it was like I felt almost like baptized, like this surge of energy, and I was like not a new person, but I was like more attuned to the person that my gut told me that I was. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like the ayahuasca, like how much deeper does that go than something like that?
I say it's like 10,000 hours of psychotherapy in 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm all over it.
I mean, but this thing, it depends how deep. So I did it with a mate last time, and they gave us a brew called Hell's Bodyguard.
Sounds hefty.
Oh yeah. And that's what I mean. That's why
Hell's Bodyguard.
Oh, yeah. Something you probably need in that situation. Hell's Bodyguard.
I mean, and that was the moment where I said I was lying on the ground as soon as you said anyone want a cup, and I'm like, fuck, it's only been an hour. Jesus. Like my mate.
I'm hitting the double.
Bro,
you know it as well, don't you?
I mean, mate, you take a double of this.
Load me that shit up.
You take a double of this, mate. I will walk around and fan you for the rest of your life. Like, Jesus Christ. But he had a moment because he hadn't done it in a couple of years, and he was like, he had this opportunity where a hole opened, and he had this opportunity to go deeper, and he was like, yeah, I ain't ready for that just yet, because he had bits that he wasn't ready to unpack. Like, this is the thing. You may know what you need to kind of address what may help, but are you ready? No.
Do you know what? I'm someone who I will jump into it. So like for me, like I I say like I know what I need to unpack. Like I haven't already done like a lot of self-development work. I have, but like I'm just wondering the depth of what ayahuasca can actually take me to, if that makes sense. Yeah. And like if it was there and, you know, I could jump in the hole, like I'm probably going to dive in, to be fair, mate.
I mean, mate, dude, there's no better way to do it.
Yeah. Hang on, I'm going to dip my toes in. Do you know what I mean? I'm getting all in.
Literally, I'm sick of this shit. I want to fix this. Let's fucking go.
I think that's like, you know, when you train and the bodybuilding like sort of mentality, or any high professional sports, or any sportsman, like anyone that's into that sort of world, like if there's the opportunity, like you want to take it. Do you know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
Yeah. And like you're the same, aren't you, Cal? Like we're all the same, like when it comes to that sort of stuff. So if you could unpack it, like
why not as well?
Rip it open, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Also, like I just
see in there, yeah.
But yeah, mate, I would love to just like,
we should book one.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, but what we've been talking about.
Yeah, like, we're going to book it after this.
After this, I'll give you the details.
Link us, bro.
What, mate,
you should come with us.
I mean, I'd love to, mate, but I'm out of the country in a month and a half.
Oh, nice.
Let's do it next week.
I'd give me a little bit.
Yeah.
But
you said loads about previously as well about like your family and growing up and whatnot. Like, tell us about where you were born and where you grew up.
So I grew up in the northern beaches of Sydney, New South Wales. And I think we ended up moving to a small country town called Goulburn because mum and dad, I think dad was working in the city, mum was working kind of out where we were. It took them, they were barely seeing each other, so they wanted to keep the family together. So we moved to a small country town, which was good. I really enjoyed the small country town. I didn't really enjoy it because I was bullied a lot at school. Like primary school was good because I played rugby and we all got along. Everyone got along really well. High school, a bit of a different story. And
what happened?
I think I went from all of my friends went to private school. I ended up going to a public school. I was a rugby union player. They were rugby league players. They were into skating and smoking weed. I wasn't. And it was that kind of that rivalry that was there. And I don't know, I enjoyed history and PE. That was it. And for me, it was daycare. I didn't like it. Couldn't wait to get away.
Did you get bullied hard, or was it just like?
It was hard enough to feel like an outcast. I wasn't bullied because I still played a lot of sport, which was still good with a lot of people, but it was bullied enough to make me feel like an outcast in certain areas. And you have friends and you lose friends and you have that sort of stuff. But that was, again, a part of the growing up. Like that made me who I was today. And I still find it funny now. A lot of those people, I get messages on Facebook from people I haven't spoken to in years. And it's like, oh man, I see you doing so well. It's like, cool. Sweet. Mate, the wild thing is when some of them ask me for mates rates on fucking personal training, I was like, are you fucking mad?
What, the ones that used to bully you?
Yeah.
It's cool. It's like,
you stuck it on me, bro.
All the people that I spoke to once when I was at school or didn't even associate with, oh, we were at school, can you give me mates rates? I'm like,
no.
Fuck off.
You're getting double charged.
Exactly. Pay me the money, then fuck off. But yeah,
I ain't even training you, boy.
No, I'll just take your money. But yeah, I left school and worked in the abattoirs. Hated it.
What's the abattoir?
I used to kill sheep.
Really?
Yeah.
How are you killing sheep?
That's old school, bro.
Oh yeah. You knock them out behind the head, then the throat slit, then fucking.
That's cold, bro.
Oh yeah, I did. I lasted there 6 months.
Yeah. How many? Did you kill a few sheep?
I knocked a few out. I didn't do the killing.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. You know,
I knocked a few sheep out.
Oh mate. No, I don't. It was a lot. So
yeah.
Nah, couldn't do it.
The thing is, mate, like it's required, mate.
Oh,
so like.
Mate,
it's not.
If you're just leaving school and you're getting paid $1,000 a week,
is that what you were getting paid?
I mean, dollars, so about £500 a week.
Still, that's straight from school.
Yeah.
I mean, we thought we were on dough at Tesco and we're getting a couple $100 when we were 15, 16.
That's still rolling, that one. It's still rolling. But yeah, then I joined the army.
That's a bit of a bold move, isn't it? To go into the army at like 16, 17.
Yeah, but look, me and my mum, we were at each other's throats. Like, I remember the day me and mum were arguing and I can't remember what we were arguing about. And I was just like, fuck you, grabbed the keys. Just, where are you going? I'm like, I'm joining the army, and fucking drove off. And drove all the way to Canberra, which was like an hour away. Went to the army recruitment centre, grabbed a thing to see about the army, came back, watched it, and then got up to leave again. And mum goes, where are you going? I said, going back to sign up.
Really?
Went back to sign up, and the lady was like, oh, there's a phone number on the back. You just have to call that. That's how pissed I was at my mum.
Was that impulsive though to do that, or were you thinking about that for a
Mum had
couple of
been
weeks?
trying to get me to do it.
Yeah.
I worked with my uncle for a bit as an electrician in Sydney. It was great, but it just kind of wasn't for me. And from the day that I signed up, me and my mum, we joined.
Mate, I didn't go to the army, but like my mum like pretty much like said, either you go to university or like you're kind of kicked out. And then like from that moment, like we were just like, sweet.
Really?
But like at that point, like when I was like 17, 18, like we were arguing a fuckload.
I mean, I see a trend, because I think all of us boys, as soon as we realise we got hair on our balls, we're like, fuck girl.
So true.
The test was flying, bro.
Now even more so.
But obviously, you know, you go into the army.
Yeah.
How do you sort of get on in there? Because it is a massive culture shift, right?
Look, I went through basic training. I'd actually joined air cadets as a kid, so I knew about drill, marching, all that sort of stuff. It was all right. And it was, I did really well. But what was it? Got out of basic training, went to our, so I got out of initial training, went to basic training. I joined the infantry and actually damaged my knee doing some urban training. I kind of tripped over something and twisted my knee. And they said, yeah, you can either wait a year in a holding platoon and then come redo it, because there were so many people coming through, or call transfer. So I was like, go to transport. So went across to transport, and it was like college, man. Like I spent more time drunk than anything else. Like it was wild. We're partying most nights, and yeah, it was wild. But I got sent to Brisbane, which is where I always wanted to be, and yeah, it was great. Like the experience that I had, I realized I hate being told what to do. When I first joined the army, actually, a couple of days beforehand, I dyed a blonde cross into my hair. And then
it's a bold move in the army.
Oh yeah. And then they shaved the hair, and then I still had a blonde cross.
Oh,
so I literally had a target. But I just was a bit of a dickhead, wasn't I? Yeah. And yeah, I said I thoroughly enjoyed the people that I met, the camaraderie you had. I played a lot of representative touch football for like Australia, the Defence Force, Queensland. I played rugby, high level rugby within there as well.
That's got to be like the best thing about like being in, well, one of the best things about being in like the army or the Marines or whatever it is, like that high level of like sport, just all the time, like get to play sport all day, every day, like unless you're training, obviously.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. Like when I came towards the end of the army, because I loved playing touch football so much, like the RSM? It was the RSM. He hated the fact that I was having so much time off and I was constantly playing sport. And they gave me the, what was it? I had the opportunity to, sorry, it's going to come up.
That monster will get you.
That monster does get you. No, so I had the opportunity to go to, I said, sorry, I want to stay in Brisbane. And he goes, no, I'm sending you to Darwin. I was like, well, no, I'm discharged. I'm going to discharge. And he's like, well, no, I'm sending you to Darwin. So I handed him my discharge papers and basically called their bluff and left.
At this point, how long had you been in the army for?
I was 5 years. So I was actually going to leave. I only had to do 4 and I was going to leave at 4, but they allowed me to stay in Brisbane. So it was okay, I did that. And then I'd actually met a girl and she was like, I can get you a job in the mines out in West Australia. So I kind of thought I'd call his bluff. If he allowed me to stay in Brizzy, I would have. He didn't, so I discharged and ended up moving to Western Australia.
So let's just pull it back. When you were in the army, like what are you doing? Just playing sport? Are you like obviously training for like war and stuff like that as well, or like?
So you had your exercises. A lot of the time we spent on barracks. You go out and do a couple of exercises, which could be a month or 2 months out in the forest. But a lot of it was just basically your day-to-day things that needed to be done around the base, keep the unit functioning. Sometimes, because I was a driver, we do long trips either up north, down south, whatever it is, to deliver something to a different unit or whatever it may have been. But it was really like your day-to-day, truck maintenance, all that sort of stuff, which was all right, but it was tedious.
Yeah, and discipline for you then?
Discipline then, it got to the point where I was just trying to grow my hair as long as possible until I got in trouble.
Yeah. Why do you reckon that is? Like you were just like sort of playing up almost, weren't you?
Yeah, I realised I don't like being told what to do. Although Now, I hate being told what to do, but I will pay someone to help me grow my business. So I'll pay you to tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do.
That's paying for a service, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. And the army must be like the hardest place because like they're pretty harsh on telling you what to do.
Well, I think when we were in the services that I was, like the corps I was, which weren't the main artillery, I was artillery, armored, infantry, all that sort of stuff. Like you were more army than the people that actually really did the army things. Like these guys were so on their discipline, so on their haircuts. Like if you didn't salute, if you did like whatever you did something wrong, you were dragged across the coals. Where you look at the other things like the infantry and all that, they're a lot more relaxed with everything else, which you'd watch it and be envious of it because it was like, why can't I have that? But then I think that's kind of what turned me away from it, is how regimented everything was over just stupid things. And some of it was just absolutely wild. Like you get, well, I'd been in there 5 years and you get kids, literally call them kids because they were coming out of the officer school at the age of 21, coming in and telling me how to do my job. When it's like, mate, you've literally been in the army since breakfast. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And the other thing that really annoyed me with it was like, you'd have people saying, well, you need to do this while you're out field. You need to do this, this, and this. And it's like, but have you actually been out there and seen it actually work? Like you're doing what you've been told or what you know from the books, but you actually haven't lived and breathed what's going on. So you have no fucking idea. And you find that with a lot of things, not just in the army. Someone can be up the top and they still have no idea how it runs below.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that. The ranks as well, they tried to promote me a few times and I was like, no, because I'd seen so many of my friends, the second they got promoted, they turned on all of us. And they also had the thing where you couldn't associate with higher ranks, you couldn't associate with lower ranks and all these things. So it was like segregation, which was just silly. Like the biggest thing I took away from it with like the people I played touch football with in the army, I played with warrant officers, COs, captains, everything. Like we were all mates. And even that, like when no one else was around, we could talk to each other like mates. And that always taught me like, you'd want to do everything for them. If they ask you to do something, it's like, yeah, mate, oh yes sir, I got that done. Because like, if you work for the boys, they work for you. Where a lot of people didn't do that. They get the power, they get the rank or the stripe or the pip on their shoulder and they turn around and like, yeah, I'm above you, mate, you can do that. And it's like, come on now, like if you're kind to me, gotta want to reciprocate, aren't I?
Mate, you should just be sound to everyone. Yeah. Like energy is always reciprocated. Like if someone is like a bit of a cunt to me, like I'll just give that straight back. But if they're nice, then I'll be nice back.
Yeah. The first verse in the Bible, thou shalt not be a cunt.
I was really thinking that. Really?
I've never read the Bible, so maybe.
I mean, maybe in Lad Bible, I don't know. One of them.
But you're right in terms of the energy, like that, it is just transferred.
Everything's reciprocated, right?
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like hierarchical, like management and whatnot. If someone's like a manager and they're sound to you, you'll want to work hard for them. 100%. If they're an arsehole, you'll just be like, well, I'll just toss it off.
Yeah, 100%.
And also there's no benefits of being a cunt.
No, there's not.
It's just zero.
There's really not.
There actually is no point.
There's genuinely zero benefits.
Well just be sound.
Yeah, like everything with that associated to being like that is negative.
For sure.
But they also take that back into their own personal life. Like if they're a cunt at work, like what are they like at home? What issues are they dealing with? Like which is one thing I took from my previous marriage. Like she taught me a lot, and it was those things. Like I used to look at someone and like road rage, example, but it's like, no, okay.
This guy is the calmest guy ever.
I was going to say get dubbed in.
He genuinely he's the calmest guy ever. But occasionally he has some crazy road rage.
Yeah, I mean, I can like let people cut me up in any situation, even if like I'm in a rush, then if someone cuts me up from Carmo's, but just sometimes
it just comes out.
Yeah, like sometimes it just comes out, and before you know it, like, I'm middle fingering like old people. I'm like, why have I done that?
Hold on a second. What are you doing?
Nah, you know what I'm saying. One of those, bruv.
I mean, they all need some loving, bro. They all need some loving.
Yeah. But instantly afterwards, I'm literally like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Oh, that's so out of character. Where's that come from?
It's like, oh shit, sorry. But this is it. So I used to have wild road rage, but it's that, okay, maybe not road rage, but anything where someone's been a dick to you online or someone's been a dick to you in public or whatever it is, it's like, cool, are you okay? Like, actually, what's going on? What's happened today?
Someone said that to me, though. I'd feel like they're being patronising. I'd be like, mate, fuck off.
Oh,
like,
mate, 100%. Especially bringing that dickhead mood. You're like, I'm going to fucking deck you, mate. But it's like, okay, we had one online. Some bloke was literally just trolling the shit out of me.
Mate, people like that are losers.
They are. They're the things. They're also the ones with the biggest insecurities of why they're doing it. Sure. And I sent him a private message because he was going to town on me. And I was like, hey, mate, look, I just wanted to reach out. Like, there's a lot going on. And I just want to see, is everything okay? Like, did you need to talk about something? Because I feel there's a lot of things here that are potentially a reflection of something going on for yourself. Are you okay? And he opened up straight away. And I was just like, yeah, having a shit day. Fucking broke up with missus, all this sort of stuff had happened. And he apologized. So
what a moist guy, though.
Yeah, like attacking.
Like, what a fucking loser. Like, you're having a bad time with your missus, so you're like attacking someone online.
Bro, that's so common, even for the stupidest things. Because they do. It's an outlet. They're completely anonymous and they can turn around and just fucking keyboard warrior the shit out of it.
I think it's so lame, mate.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
You must get quite a lot of it as well.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because your life's just all over social media. And you know, like I find sometimes as well, like bodybuilders are quite an easy target for people who are insecure.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The steroid comment is fucking everything.
You must get that all the time.
All the time. And as I said, I take steroids and I have done for years, but I don't openly sit there and talk about it because it's not like I need to sit there and openly talking about it. If someone's going to make a comment about it, I was like, I will happily make a joke back. But if someone wants to ask me questions, like, do you actually approach me for a conversation?
Yeah.
Do you take them? It's like, yes, I do. Do I recommend people take them? No. Like if you're doing it because you have low testosterone, sweet. Okay, I get that. If you're doing it because you want to try what it's like, cool. Try it. Don't go fucking wild with it.
Yeah.
Don't listen to fucking old mate down the gym because he takes it and goes, you should try it. Speak to a professional.
Yeah.
Do it properly. Do your bloods. I know guys that have been on for 5-6 years who've never come off and now cannot get their dick up. Like, and they just don't come off because they're just light looking shredded the whole time. It's not healthy.
It's just pointless as
in my
opinion.
It is.
Yeah. But TRT for me is an absolute no-brainer. I just got to throw that out there. Like,
no, dude, 100%.
TRT is a no-brainer if you've got low test. And if you are above the age and don't want to have children, like, I genuinely can't see any downside.
100%.
Yeah.
This is the thing is if you don't want to have kids, fucking sweet. Do what you got to do. But if you want to have a family, make sure you do that, but also do your own research.
Be careful with it. Make sure you're measuring it, and like do your blood.
Mate, I've been stupid in the past. You know what I mean? I've literally, I've done stuff and not even had blood work done because I didn't even know blood work was a thing. But now I know it is, and I'll always get it done.
Mate, I'm the same.
But like when we were younger and stuff, like blood work wasn't as available as it is now. Like there was no Medichecks when we were fucking 19, 20. Do you know what I mean?
The education behind it wasn't there either.
Yeah.
Now because of social, like, thankfully, obviously it's who you watch the most. Like, I'm not saying there is still, like, it's changed from more education from bullshit that you see on social media, but there is a lot more education out there if you follow the right people. And
also people back in the day, mate, when I remember like 10 years ago, they wouldn't say they're on steroids. So CT Fletcher, remember him, arms every day. Yeah. The guy claimed natty, mate. Yeah. Did you see it?
I didn't, but I know who he is.
Yeah, back in the day, I swear he used to claim natty, which is mental.
Like Liver King.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally like that.
Sourced at his mind.
They still do it though.
I know, yeah.
They still do it. And there were guys.
Mike Thurston, mate. Mike Thurston claims natty. There's no way that guy's natty. He is in impeccable shape.
I mean, look. Definitely, personal opinion. He's running gear.
Yeah.
If he's not running gear, he was running gear and he's on TRT. Like,
he's 1,000%, and that counts, by the way. Like,
100%. I mean, I remember when I first said someone go a Miller test a week is natural. I was like, fucking what?
But that's a huge syringe, bruh.
Fucking right. But this is the thing, man. Like, if you're going to take it, do it for the right purposes. If you want to compete, I reckon try naturally. Then if you want to take it further, then jump into it. If you want to do it to try it out, sweet. If you're going to do it because you don't want kids, sweet. But if you're doing it just because, I don't recommend doing it. If you do your fucking research.
Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%. So just to pull back, obviously, you decide to leave the army.
Well done. So I told you on tangent.
Don't worry, we're used to it, bro. And you go into the mines.
Yeah, so I wasn't working in the mines. I was working on the train line. So what we did was we installed hot bearing detection sites. So I think it was like every couple of 100 kilometers or whatever, you'd put on you put like this sensor which went either side of the track, and it would detect any flat spots in the wheels of the train. Now, these trains were about 2-3 kilometers long. And I think it was every carriage or every cart that rolled and you lost the iron ore was a couple of 100,000 profit lost. So obviously they wanted to reduce when that happened. I remember I've driven past things where there was like 10, 12 carts rolled over. That's a couple of million. Yeah.
That's a sting.
Yeah, it's wild. Literally, imagine that. Just a casual fucking, we got to do something about that. But it was, we were working in northwestern Australia. So it was like 40 degrees heat, 80% humidity. You're working almost 80 degrees one day, long trousers, long sleeve shirt. Everything.
That sounds illegal to me, mate.
It was disgusting. It
sounds vile.
It was the first time I took stanozol as well.
What's that?
It was like a fat burner. But I basically almost went down.
Fat burning at 40 degrees.
Yeah. See, not
Shredded
educated.
as hell, bro.
Not educated. I almost went down with fucking dehydration. So I never took that again.
Get them electrolytes in, bro.
Horrible. We even had flies out there. Like you'd have to wear a fly net at one point. But these flies weren't ones you could just shoo away. They'd land on you, and they didn't give a fuck. You could go like that, and he'd just basically hold his ground. Literally,
Dense flies.
Mate, it was horrible. There was one time I was all over my face, and I'm like, I'm just gonna sit down. I can't see. Can't see. Like, horrible.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. That sounds gross, mate.
But it was good money. I think at the age of 22, I made about 160K. That's dollars.
Yeah.
In a year, it was great. I pissed every single bit of it up the wall.
Partying.
It literally partied. My first week back, all my mates were at work, and they were like, "Oh, we can't afford to go out. We've got work and all this sort of stuff." I'm like, "I'm paying." I dropped $3,000 in a night just for everyone to come out and get pissed.
Yeah.
Which was great. I had a lot of fun. Although the lady at the bar, I said, I was so drunk. I was like, that bottle of Cafe Patron is mine. She goes, you can't do that. I'm like, how much is it? She goes, $300. I'm like, take it. She's pocketed like $250.
Oh yeah,
typical, mate. Yeah.
Thing as well, as I can imagine, if you haven't had that much money before and you're out of all your mates, then
when you're young as well.
Was it 23? 100%. You said
I had no concept of money and like that. I just never had the concept of it.
Yeah, and also when you're that age, it's kind of like frivolous, isn't it? So you're just like enjoying yourself, and you don't really think about the consequences with the cash, and you're not really focused on saving. You're just kind of focused on having a good time and kind of like enjoying yourself, which I think is actually,
you have to.
Yeah, I think it's really valid for like people of that age, like between 18 to 22, to like just go and have a blowout. I think it's worth it.
100%. Like, look, the Mines was great for a year, but then I ended up working. I was doing a 3-in-1 roster. I was 2-in-1. Then I went to 3-in-1, so that's 3 weeks on, 1 week off. And then I went to 4-in-1, and I was missing out on half my life. So I think at one point I was seeing a flight attendant, and my mate was like, "Bro, just sack it off. Just go to the UK, sell everything you have, go to the UK. Trust me, you need some life experience." So I did. Sold everything I had, got a visa, came over.
Bold move,
I was going to say, like,
I needed something.
Why do you want to? Why do Australians and then people in the UK always, when they want to like leave what they're at or like sort of escape, go to either Australia, so for the UK people, or people from Oz go to the UK.
True. I mean, I was one of them when I was.
Do you know what I mean?
I was.
Well, no, I never went, but like I did a bit of traveling. But Australia was for me, like I always had the inclination, like I want to move there.
One of my best pals is going to do it. Like he's going to go to Oz.
Really?
Yeah, like my uncle did it as well.
My brother moved there. My cousin lives there still now. So in the UK, it's like
it's kind of like those two countries like swap.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's obviously being a part of the Commonwealth, whether it's like that's all we see, or then you have Australia, like the Ashes, or whatever it may be. There's always a constant crossover between the two.
But why the UK for you?
Yeah, why do Australian people want to come to the UK though? I get the benefits from UK to Oz.
Lifestyle.
Cocaine.
Like UK, like to Oz is like the heat, the summer, like
the lifestyle, the more relaxed lifestyle.
I don't know if you've seen one of my mates actually. He's a comedian, Australian comedian over here. I saw this Facebook video where it was like he was applying to rent this room off some people. I was even Clapham somewhere, and they're asking him like, so "Why here? Why'd you move over?" "Oh, I love the culture, love this, love this, love this." And then cut scene, and he goes, "Cocaine." That's literally why Australians move here, is cheap cocaine. But yeah, honestly, I don't know. Like for me to fly to Brisbane to Perth is 6 hours. That's east to west of one country. Here I can be in either the States or I can be over Eastern Europe. Like there's so much more opportunity here. Like I've done the things I've done here, I would never have pictured in my life. Never would I have ever done that. Like I found my passion, which wouldn't have happened in Australia. I've got some of the closest people in the world. My best friend. I'm an uncle to about three of my friends' kids. Like I've traveled, seen things, done things like I just never would have if I'd stayed in Australia.
It's opportunity then.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I'm quite interested. If you pull yourself out of the UK now from like an Australian perspective, how would you summarize the UK culture?
Wait, the UK culture is one of the most multicultural places I've ever fucking lived. And that's what helped me quite a lot. The history is beautiful. The vibrance is beautiful. You cannot beat the UK, but London in summer. Like going into the park and seeing everyone in the park is one of the most magical things. Because in Australia, it's fucking hot every day. Like it's just another day out, isn't it? We're here, just people get so involved. Yeah. When you see, like, I'm not a fan of the royal family or anything like that, but when you see something go for about the royal family, how everyone gets involved for it. Like there's so much passion and just life and vibrance in here, except for when it gets cold.
Yeah, and then it's horrible.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
Yeah. When it's raining like continuously, it's awful, mate.
My first Christmas, when I spent my first Christmas in a onesie, fucking hungover, eating. First time I'd ever tried bread sauce or Yorkshire pudding. It was amazing, but it was so novelty. And then the first Christmas I had where it snowed, I was like, oh fuck, wild.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wild. But
so do you come over here on your Todd?
And what's the plan?
With that girl, the flight attendant?
No. I came over here by myself. I went traveling. So I traveled for 3 months through Europe. So I came here for about a week. I then went to Amsterdam. I went to Germany and went to Oktoberfest when my cousin was living there. Nice. Fucking wild. Then went to Amsterdam. Then from Amsterdam went to Prague. Fucking broke me, that place. Went from Prague to, where do we go? To Austria. Because me and my mate were both a bit sick. From Austria, we then flew to Cyprus and spent time with my mum, because my mum used to work for the UN. So she was working as UN in Cyprus, stayed there for a month. Then he met some girl. I then went traveling and went through, Istanbul.
Mental.
Istanbul, Krakow, down to Barcelona, fucking a couple of different other places, Edinburgh, Berlin, all sorts. Yeah. But mate, I spent the entire 3 months fucking hammered.
On your own?
Yeah, the first half I was with a mate, second part was just me on my own.
Yeah, I always find that weird. Like I've never had that desire to go traveling on my own on a budget. We were talking about this on the way up here. Like I always feel like I'd need like a partner in crime. Do you know what I mean? I'd need someone for backup.
Yeah, yes and no.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like I'd need you there. Like I'd need one of my other pals there or something.
More so to experience it with somebody.
Yeah. Like if I was on my own, I'd feel like,
but that's where the arguments
get a bit bored.
That's where the arguments happen, because like if you want to go see something but they don't want to do that and you've only got a certain amount of time.
Yeah, true. Actually,
just like, well, I want to go see this. Well, actually, no, I want to go see this, and it's like we've only got a certain amount of time to do this.
I feel like my pals, because like we've grown up together for so many years, like, and I think you are like, very tribe-like with your best pals. Like if I was like, I want to do this, and they were like, I want to do this, it would probably be similar, if not the same.
Yeah. Well, that's where I went wrong, because the guy that I went with, he was a mate when I was in the army. I hadn't seen him in years, but I knew he wanted to travel.
Right.
So we went traveling together.
He's bottom of the barrel, wasn't he?
Yeah. Final pick, man.
Yeah.
But he met some girl when we were in Prague.
Of course he did.
Wild enough. She grew up 20 minutes away from him.
Oh, really? That's weird.
We thought it was true love. And I looked at her and I'm like, are you fucking mad?
True love.
She grew up 20 minutes away from you and you meet in
it's
fucking
true
Prague.
love. Isn't it funny, like the stories we all like tell ourselves in them moments? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's true love.
Oh yeah. So, oh my God.
Is he still with her now?
No.
Mate, he ended up moving to some, I don't even know where he moved to in the UK, and then up splitting up. And I was like, was it worth it? But like I said, I got to see some wild things. Yeah. Wild things. I went and saw Gallipoli, which is like where in Turkey, where like in World War I, Australia, New Zealand landed there, got slaughtered in World War I, but it's a big, obviously 25th of April is a big thing for Australia. So I got to go there and see all that, which was quite surreal. I went to a lot of the, like being in the army, I do like my war history. So like a lot of the World War II stuff. I went to Auschwitz, I went to Dachau.
It's deep. That must have been a humbling experience.
They were a lot. Like, I think the crazy one was in Dachau. We'd finished the tour in Dachau. And the guy was like, there's a rifle range about a 20-minute walk away from here, and there's also a mass grave. We couldn't find the mass grave because we wanted to kind of just go pay our respects to it. But we went to this rifle range, and it was in the middle of the forest, and there was the rifle lanes, but in between big mounds. And on the outside of it, there was this big concrete kind of structure. and an opening in the middle of it, and you could see all the bullet holes in the back from where they'd done the pistol range shooting. And we're standing there looking at it, and kind of, I turned around, and as I turned around to look out, I was like, okay, this is a bit strange. Then a farmer walked over, and he was like, oh yeah, this is where they used to bring a lot of prisoners and execute them. And as soon as he said that, the whole perspective of me standing in there was just like, fuck. Because I was like,
this could have been me. Like if I was
literally,
it
was insane.
Yeah. What a weird experience that is, like to see firsthand, because you're like, fucking hell, this would have been me.
Yeah.
Dude, so when you're in Dachau itself, you walk through where they used to induct all the prisoners and do all that sort of stuff, and they had these big wooden poles or wooden bars across, and like, this is another form of torture. They'd hang you up from your arms behind until your arms dislocated, and you'd have to hang there like that.
Torturing is just nasty,
disgusting.
man.
I mean, I went to a place in Cambodia.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but it was when I think his name was like Pol Pot was in charge.
Yeah.
And he basically used to eliminate anybody who supported the opposing political party. And when I say eliminate, like, he would literally torture them. And I went to the, first it was a museum, and then I actually went to the building where he would tie them up and torture them. And then not only would he torture them, he would then, this is vile, by the way, this is what he used to do, but he would tie them up, torture them, and then he would tell them that he was going to release them back to their families, put them all in like a van, and then just like shoot them all in the van and just chuck them all into a field. It's disgusting. Like, it was so humbling when I was there as well.
Yeah.
I was stood in the field and I was just like,
It's cold, man.
how on earth can somebody even like
Be
do
that cold, mate.
This is it. We can't think how those people think. This is the thing. Everyone is obviously very different, but how they think is just a complete different switch. And
that's why I couldn't wrap my head around, like, how on earth can someone even think, not only do it, but like just think of doing it.
yeah, it's wild.
It is. It's mental, mate. Like, it's actually mental that's a conscious thought. Like, there's no need to tell them that, you know, they're going to go see their families.
That's what
just
I mean.
execute them and be done with it.
The joy people get from it as well. Like, when I went to Auschwitz, that was even worse. Like, we got to see the hallways where it had all the shoes. You get to see the hallways where it had all the hair. Like, they were making socks out of hair for some of their soldiers. They showed us they had standing, kneeling, and crouching cells where they had literally, you only had a space of about that big sometimes. They put you in there for days.
It's fucked.
Horrible. And then we went into the actual gas chambers, and you couldn't see anything. Like, it was, obviously everything was clear, but in the photos I have, mate, it's smoky. It's like smoky as hell in there, but there was no smoke when I was there, which is the wildness of it all. And again, just to be like, so much fucking happened here. Even that, knowing that the entire town around them knew what was going on and no one knew anything about it. Like, having that experience really kind of hit home, to obviously helping me with humanity and the kindness that I have towards people now. Like, I do my best, unless you've really pissed me off, I'm not going to be a dick. But the kindness and love that I want to share to people and to give to people, is a lot of it came from that. Because it's just, you don't know. Like, there's a beautiful thing around Berlin. This one artist, he's gone through every single property that was owned by a Jewish person and that was taken from, and he's put a plaque in front of that building with the name of the person, the date they were taken, the date they died. There's millions around Europe. But he's done that. I think the main part's in Berlin. Nice. To see someone remembering people like that was beautiful.
Yeah. Do you know the craziest thing about all of it is, for me, like, it was only 70 years ago, right? Like, roughly 70, 80 years ago. Like, my nan, like, is obsessed with World War II, or both of them, I think, but like World War II predominantly. And I think, like, it was literally just a generation above you.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how is it only that long ago?
But what's fucked up is it's still...
I know, yeah.
Shit's still going on.
I know, yeah. I get that.
That's the wild thing. Like, where's the growth? Like, yeah, there's growth in areas, but like, if you look at it as a whole, how much of this shit is still actually happening that we don't talk about? I
know, yeah. And that's what's weird about it. It's like, and I do, and I'm gonna throw it out there, I think that's because of mainstream media, mate.
Oh yeah.
The way things are shown and the way things are delivered are done with a purpose.
Yeah. Well, Syria. I was at a wedding recently with for one of my very good friends, but there was a lady I haven't seen in years, and she actually does humanitarian aid out in Syria. And I was like, my first question, holy shit, how do you get away with like not being bombed and everything? She's like, trust me, it's one of the safest places you'll ever go. It's beautiful. She goes, it's mainly military targets that they're showing you. a lot of this shit. But it's made out to be something completely different. And because fear grows, fear spreads like wildfire.
Sure.
1,000,000%.
Better than happiness, which is really fucked up. But that's it, because they know they can rope people in with it. And if that's happening there, and that's come from a source that fucking works there, I mean, we all know there's a lot of twisted shit going on. But like, what extent does this go to?
I just don't understand the point of it all. That's what, when we've talked about this, we were talking about it on the way up here. Like, we obviously have like a 3-hour car journey, so it goes on a few tangents.
I appreciate you guys.
No, it's not that. It's just like, but with it, like I said to Cal, like obviously everything that's going on at the moment with, you know, Trump and everything else, like the deep state and how much involvement it actually has. I'm like, but what is actually the end point? Like, what are they actually trying to achieve in terms of like that much manipulation?
Yeah. What's the goal?
Yeah, like what's the point?
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. One thing I've always done is I never looked at politics until I moved to the UK. The second I fucking moved here, everyone spoke about it, and I was like, "Are you fucking mad?" But even now, I was like, I look at it all, and it's naive of me, but I pull myself away because I'm like, I know that a lot of that is just negative energy that I do not need to have.
That's exactly how I feel, man. Like,
you said this to me the other day, didn't you, Cal?
Because I feel exactly the same. Like, I'm conscious and aware of certain things that are going on, but like, I really don't want to dive into it because the amount of energy that I know it would consume from me, because I'll get in rabbit holes and then I'd start trying to spread it, and then like I would be in a rabbit hole like, oh, this has happened, this, and it's like, do I really want to be focusing my energy on that?
And once you look under the rug, mate, there's no going back.
Yeah.
And then the problem is you sound like a crazy person when you're outlaying all the stuff to everyone and they're just like oblivious. And then it puts you in like a conundrum because you're like, you should know this.
Yeah, well, dude, actually, no, you start there, then fucking 5 months later, you're like, the earth is flat.
We're in a simulation.
So but it's fucking wild.
Yeah, it is. So obviously you was just saying about when you first came over to the UK.
Yep.
So tell us about what you're doing. Is this where the gym starts becoming a big position of like your life and a big part of your life at this point?
So the gym had really, like, I used to train when I was younger. So because I used to play a lot of rugby when I was younger. I was under 13s. I was like, I want to be the most feared name in under 13s rugby union. And I did. Everyone knew who I was, which is good. So I started training then. But then alcohol became a big thing. Yeah. So the gym was like, here and there. And it was only probably, the year before, or the couple months before I decided to move to the UK, that I started to do my first round of steroids and started getting back into it all. What was the
steroid of choice at that point?
Sus 250 was it?
Sus 250? I never even heard of that.
Yeah.
It was Anavar back in the day.
It was my first PT. When I started working in the mines, actually, he got me on the, He got me on the stanozol. And then I jumped on the Sus 250. Because my question was, I watched Geordie Shaw, they drink all the time and they're shredded. How do they do it? And he goes, steroids. I was like, give me 5 of those. But no, it was like, before I kind of moved over, it was bits and pieces doing it. Went traveling. I think I trained maybe once. Yeah. I think my best mate was called Jim. That was about it. And then when I came back, as I started getting back into training, I went traveling, did all that. Then I went home mid-January 2014. Yeah. Because I was like, I spent all my money, thought I'm going to go home. Mum and Dad were like, if you get a job in the UK, we'll fly you back over. So I ran Mum and Dad's business, which was like a maintenance company. Cool. Just while I was at home for about 6 months, and they got me a ticket back over. Now, my mate said I can get you a job. Yeah. Turned out to be a stripper. Yeah.
I did not see that.
He said he could get you a job as a stripper.
Yeah. Look, my thing was I used to get naked drunk for free.
That's mental, by the way.
Oh, mate, you wait. You wait. So I was like, I just do it for free, so why not get paid? Yeah. So I told Mum and Dad I was going to do security, and came back over and became a stripper in Cornwall.
In Cornwall?
Cornwall, I didn't even know Cornwall would have strippers.
Oh, yeah.
Like the slowest place in the UK, isn't it?
I was promised the absolute world.
Yeah, what, in terms of like finances?
My birthday, which was coming up, was going to have all the strippers around me, big stripper party and all that.
Yeah, what'd you get?
Fucking nothing.
You got nothing?
Maybe chicken strips. I think.
What's the lifestyle like as a stripper?
Well, then it was fucking terrible. I think I made maybe 400 quid the entire time I was there.
But like, what's like day to day? Like what?
Well, when I joined,
You got moves then. You must have some moves.
Oh, they taught me to move.
You must have some moves, bro.
They fucking taught me to.
Mate, I could not do them.
Trust me.
I'm just imagining myself doing the moves.
Cal, you're stiff as well, bro.
I'm stiff as well, man. I ain't got no moves, man. They'd be fucking paying me to get off.
I ain't got no moves.
I mean, a dad dance is a start, bro. A dad dance is a good start.
Man, I can't even believe you've come here for that, by the way. It's
bro.
just like, that's like in itself bold.
I needed something. Mum,
Yeah, I know,
Dad were
yeah.
like, it's a fucking, you're not missing out on this life-changing opportunity.
And also, like, you've been promised to earn like dough from it. So
Yeah.
I mean, I did literally a strip joint for a strip show for a stag do.
Yeah.
My first time I got my dick out in front of a crowd of 130 people was possibly the wildest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like, I had no idea what to do. He said, walk down there, take something off, because I was in a fireman outfit. Walk down there, take something off. Walk down here, take something off, stand on stage and fucking do something. So,
What's that? Do something like.
Mate, were you nervous before that?
oh yeah, I shit myself.
Yeah, I bet you were.
But basically, my parents found out because there was a photo of me that my mate shared on Facebook of me standing on stage doing a windmill.
As a fireman.
No, as a naked man. The fireman outfit was gone.
And do the birds go
Oh,
to...
they go mental.
No, but like, I've obviously, in terms of like strippers and stuff, like I would have thought like it's mostly men that go to a strip club.
No, so this is the thing, it's not a strip club.
Oh, they
Like,
hire a stripper for a party, for example.
like a show.
More put an event.
Yeah,
So what the thing
okay.
with this is, with men, we're simple creatures. We can just watch a girl there and be like, take my money. We're
Pound coins, actually, bro.
You weren't comfortable, weren't you? But with women, it's a journey. So you need to kind of have a journey, show a tease, or this sort of stuff. Like, so with those guys, yeah, it was your traditional stripper, all that's like your old school stripper, put a flag around me. The weirdest one was doing it in a caravan park.
Oh.
Yeah, did it in a caravan park where everyone was around.
Rowdy crowd, that.
Yeah. It was when the lady's 90-year-old mother was in, her mother and her grandmother were in the crowd. And you should do the one thing where you put the flag around, they take your underwear off and get to see your junk underneath. It was when the 90-year-old grandmother goes, I want to do it. And I had to basically do this over her.
She must
Gross,
be buzzing.
mate. That's
I mean,
gross.
look, I was just happy she didn't have a heart attack. Anyway, but from that is I was also working as a defense contractor or civilian contractor for the military. Because I had a military background, I could actually do like play enemy party, help things out with SAS and all people going through the regular training, which was cool. But then I did a modelling shoot, and I was like a test shoot up here in London. One of those fake ones where they scam you, promise the world, give you shitty photos, cost you 600 quid.
Oh, really?
But those photos actually got me the job, which changed my life. So I applied for Forbidden Nights.
What's that?
So Forbidden Nights is like Magic Mike mixed Cirque du Soleil. It's a sexy circus.
Okay. And you obviously applied for a performer.
Yeah, I applied to be just a butler. I didn't know what they had, but I was like, I want to come down. So they brought me down to the show. And I got to watch the show and I fucking loved it, man. And when I talk about a journey, so this is a 2-hour show. You got act 1, act 2, and everyone's got a different routine. So there was, at that point in time, there was a dancer, a guy did, the owner, he didn't start doing his solo for years, but ended up doing aerial chains. Another one was a singer. Another one did pole. Another one did fire. So, but they all danced, okay? And I loved it. It was amazing. But the girls went wild.
I bet they did, mate.
But there's no dick out.
I bet they went fucking wild, mate.
Yeah, dude.
Bet you boys cleaned up after, didn't you?
Well, this is the thing. So the rule was no, we weren't allowed to, because what he did.
That's got to be like the biggest benefit of working there now.
Okay, look, we didn't. You could talk to the girls, but you couldn't take someone over from the show. If you did get a number, that was it for later, because we wanted to keep that level of decorum. Where if you look at the rival companies, they got slated from a lot of places because they take girls backstage, they do things like this, and it just wasn't professional. So as the years went on, we actually got praised by theatres because of like, you guys are actually really respectful. You don't do this, which is really nice to see. But actually, that at the end of that show, they brought me on stage and like, look, this guy is Aussie and it's his birthday. Who thinks he should strip?
God, throw you under the bus.
Oh yeah, literally under the bus. So I was like, what do I know? It's bump and grind. So basically took my clothes off, found a girl in the crowd. Literally found a girl in the crowd and just started grinding. And then they're like, yeah, lead him upstairs and then do photos with the girls afterwards. I left.
Can I ask a personal question?
Go for it.
Do you ever get a boner when you're doing it with them?
Well, then, yes. Now, because you don't do that kind of stripping now.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No. I actually went through a phase where I was also doing like private parties. They were mental.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like how do you, like this is quite intrusive, but like how do you like hold it down the situation?
Yeah.
When you've got the
Performer vibes, isn't it?
Oh,
like,
mate.
like, would you do it?
You usually tie off.
Oh, really?
You usually tie off.
Yeah,
So usually that's going to keep it big and floppy and it'll stay down there. If it does go up, it depends what part of the...
Tie it off. What does that actually specifically mean?
So you'll get it nice and hard. You'll then basically put a rubber band around the base, or you put something around the base to basically lock the blood in. Yeah.
That sounds like painful.
I mean, mate, I have literally seen some aubergine looking dicks.
That's painful, bro.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either.
Gonna say, man.
I wear a cock ring. It just gives everything a nice little push forward and gives it a nice little look. But yeah, anyway, they said to me, I left that Saturday and he said, give me a call on Monday. And he was like, look, we can't take you on, don't have enough money, can't do this. And I was like, bro, I will work for free. Like, I really like what you're doing. I want to be a part of this. And he called me back about 20 minutes later and said, cool, I'll give you 50 quid a show. And that was only on Saturdays. And I ended up finding out years later that two of the other guys that were part owners of the business thought I was too strippery. So that's why they said no. But he was like, I can't turn down that work ethic. Can't do it. So I busted my ass, man. I got there early every single fucking Saturday.
At this point, are you also banging gym now again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was doing my first competition.
Yeah.
At this point in time.
So is this where you start like literally investing heavily in yourself in terms of like bodybuilding?
Yeah. Because I was working as a PT at LA Fitness. It was all in New Barnet, which is now Pure Gym.
Okay, cool.
So I met my first coach there. Was doing that. Except I was promised the world that if you come out here looking like a bodybuilder, you're going to clean up, people are going to love you. No. People just thought I was going to smash them in the gym. So I barely got any clients. But with the Forbidden Show, it was like I was there every single week, setting up, doing everything that needed to be done. And then I picked up the fire staff one night and they saw me play with it. They're like, we didn't know you could do that. But I did tell you I was a fire performer. Yeah. And
what's a fire staff, bro? So
your fire staff, there's plenty of different ones, but this one that I had was just a contact staff. So probably about a bit longer than this. And what it is, you light both ends on fire and you can spin it and do all sorts
of things. Okay.
But there's all different types of fire props. So about 3 weeks later, I got told fire guy's leaving and they're going to put you in rehearsals.
Cool.
So I went from being the guy setting everything up, helping the girls with the photos, to being one of the main performers. I couldn't dance. I tripped over my own 2 left feet. I was a rugby player. Like, it took me 3 weeks to learn half a routine. Yeah. And that half a routine was our first audition for Britain's Got Talent. So we did that in 2015, I think it was.
That's when Britain's Got Talent was popping as well, right?
Yeah. So the views at the moment on that video, I think are about 88 million views.
Wow. Mental.
It was basically one of our guys was singing, microphone broke, we come on dressed as crew. No one knew besides two crew backstage. And we surprised everyone and came on stage, broke into song and dance, ripped our clothes off on stage.
Did you get free?
No, because we already had a show.
Yeah.
And obviously it's a business, so if we can't.
Is it just more like a PR stunt?
Literally. Yeah. I mean, we were hoping to get through. We had a fucking wicked thing to go through. Yeah. But because we have a show and Britain's Got Talent really can't make money off you, can they? If you already have a show. So anyway, that got us a lot. Like, we ended up touring the country for years and we still do. So we've been into Amsterdam, we've been all the way to the top of Scotland, all the way back down to Cornwall, into Wales, like done everything, performing in theatres all around the country. It's wild. Like, the best thing I've ever done was, I think it was the one in Belfast, where I used to do, it was Officer Gentleman. So I was like, come in there dressed as a naval officer, and I walk on stage and it was pitch black. I could see the stage, but I can't see anyone else. And I walked on stage, kind of got to attention, turned around, got to attention again. And then as the things of lights have kind of come on, the music comes on, I basically lift my head, take my glasses off, and I just see 1,300 people in this fucking auditorium that goes all out there. And it was dead quiet, and all I went was, ha! And it was that fucking loud, echoed, and then everyone went, rah! And I was just like, whew. Now this is the thing with me as a performer, because I'm not a trained performer, I have stage presence. So you will see me laughing. We fuck around on stage. There was one point my boss came, we were about to get on stage and he goes, let me get on my shoulders. So he jumped on my shoulders and we came and we performed the whole routine with him sitting on my shoulders.
Nice.
We just used to fuck with each other.
Yeah.
And it was just fun. It makes it more enjoyable because they see us having fun.
It's authentic, right?
What's that?
It's authentic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And like our compare, so this is the level we used to fuck with each other. Our compare hates the song. He doesn't mind it now, but he hates the song Bananas in Pajamas. So he used to do a strip and we changed his song to Bananas in Pajamas.
Yeah.
He walked off stage. He came back on, didn't strip. I don't know, they put his song and then he stripped. 3 weeks later, one of our things that we're known for is a raining stage. So we do It's Raining Men, but then we finish with this beautiful raining stage. Anyway, before that had happened, he put 4 bags of ice in the bucket of water. Oh. So as we're doing the routine, as you could hear all of us was going, fuck, trying to be sexy. And it just was happening. Yeah. But they became my family.
Mate, what a weird, like, I want to use the word juxtaposition. I think it's the right word for it. But like, what a weird flip, like being like on stage and being like, like for the women rather than the flip side with like everything I think about if I think of strippers or anything like that involves women.
Yeah.
So like being on the flip side as a man must be so weird.
It's wild.
Do you know what I mean? Isn't that mental? Like,
look, you give girls a bit of sauce, they are worse than men.
Yeah, I bet they are
fucking nuts.
I bet they're way worse as well.
Oh yeah. Like
they get away with it more, don't they?
Yeah. I've had everything grabbed. There was, what was it? Do you remember was it Grosvenor? The thing they used to have, girls have to sign NDAs or the rich people get the girls. There was something that happened years ago. I think it was like 6 years ago or something, but it was big in the news.
Yeah.
And they called, I think it was the one show, they called me and asked me to get on and have a chat about it and talk about how it's like being a male stripper. And he was trying to lead the conversation. Bet you feel, what was the word? Completely lost the word.
Emasculated?
Yeah, emasculated, but you feel, what is it when people are watching you? I can't even think of the word right now. Completely gone. Yeah. Anyway, but he kept trying to flip it on me. And I was like, actually, no, I quite enjoy my job.
Yeah, it's
like,
fun.
Yeah, I like really enjoy it. He goes, no, but don't you feel like this? I'm short. I was like,
no.
I actually hung up on him on live TV because I was like, I'm just, whatever, mate. I'm not doing it. Because like, I love my job. That's where I found my passion. I could perform for men, women. Obviously, you wouldn't have children do it in that kind of show.
Yeah.
But as long as I'm on stage making people happy, because you get to connect with every single person. You get to see someone, the smile on their face, the happiness they have, and the joy when they're just fucking cheering.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, ego boost the name when someone goes, "I'm Aussie," and they go, "Yeah." Like, you get that. But it's one of the best things in the world to know that what I love doing makes other people happy.
Yeah.
And again, I've traveled the country, been in theaters, been in some theaters, been downstairs and then looking at the photos that other comedians, performers have signed. You're like, I'm on the same stage Jimmy Carr's been on. Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
Like, I could never have dreamt that in my entire life.
Do you earn a lot of dough out of it? No.
Look, it's not what everyone thinks about it. Like, my brother came over and lived with me for a little bit, and everyone back home was like, "Oh my God, you live with Ash? Like, oh my God, is he famous? What's it like?" He's like, I literally tan his ass. He lies on the bed naked, like Ash.
That's your bro, though.
That's my bro. Yeah. So I was like, it's not what everyone thinks of being like I mean, look, a Broadway show, West End show, yeah, something different.
Yeah.
But what we get is, like, if you do enough shows in the week, cool, you're earning a decent living. But it's not what people think.
But you love doing it, so
exactly. It's a love.
Yeah.
It's a love for being over there to make people smile. Like, because I'm leaving, I've stepped back from the actual performing. But on Saturday nights now, little plug, Saturday nights in Furness in Clapham, I now kind of do the hosting.
Yeah.
So I get to stand there, meet the girls, take photos with people at the start of it. Then in the middle of it, I get to interview the girls about the show. Nice. And it's just so much fun being on the other side of it all, watching my boys perform, but then actually going, so what do you think? And like, yeah, they're fucking hammered, these girls. But it's really fun kind of just being a part of it and seeing the other side of it.
I can't imagine what it's like in the like dressing room after with all the lads. Because like, it must be banter, mate. Like, you must be having a fucking right laugh.
We used to, this is the thing, what the show used to be when we all first got together, when we were first starting, before I started getting really professional, fuck yeah. It was great.
Yeah, like good time, like good laugh, like good crack.
On
like,
tour with each other, you get back to the hotel, have a fucking drink afterwards. It was great. We used to perform at the Grand. Now the Grand in Clapham, the best fucking theatre in the world, the best place in the world. We loved it. And we would always stay and get pissed afterwards, get party with everyone. It was great. Obviously things change. Yeah. Where now it's a lot more professional. Like the boys most of them leave after the show.
Yeah.
Like during the show, yeah, it's a bit of fun, a bit of banter during it, but most people are kind of just in their head doing their own thing. And then that's basically it. It's a job where I get it. It's got the progression. You got it. It becomes that job where it's not always going to be lads, but they're still your family because you spend most of your time with the boys.
Yeah, and it's also like that camaraderie, same as like when you're in the army, right? It's just the exact same principles. You're just all together, like in it together, and you kind of make the best of whatever it is that you're doing, right?
100% every time.
Also, credit, by the way, mate, like getting on stage in front of 1,300 people.
Yeah,
naked,
it's mental.
Bumping, grinding, like fucking fair. You got some balls.
It's wild. We had a show which we did to 30 people. And if I'm honest, as pumping as the crowd was for the 1,300, 30 people in the crowd was so much fun because it was so intimate, but it was like they got to get involved.
Did the birds ever try and give you some money to like take them? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is a thing that I really dislike. I hate. Like hen parties are great because they come to the show. It's great. But my God, I lose so much respect because these girls come up and go, "It's my hen's last night being single. Do you want to go home with her?" I'm like, sorry?
Wow.
Wait, hold on a second.
The hen.
Oh yeah. She was like,
last night being single. Hold on, she's getting married.
She's been engaged for how long? She went through a period before they were in a relationship.
That's trashy as hell, bro.
It's so common.
Wow. Really?
It's so common. I see it regularly, at least one or two every.
I would kill my missus if that happened.
This is the thing. This is the thing. And
I can't believe that.
Because everyone turns around. It's like when a lad's night, you get. I'm sure lads. When me and my ex-wife got together, we actually had a joint one, and it was fucking great. We all partied, then took pills and went to a fucking escape room, and then got hammered drunk. Oh, it was a great fucking party.
Nice.
But it was like, that was because at the end of the day, we're friends. Yeah. Let's do this together. Like you need your friends. In a relationship, you need to have your friends. But if you want to celebrate something together, then fucking do that. Where don't turn around and take the boys out and it's like, yeah, we're going to get you fucked up. We're going to do this. Next, you're going to sleep with this person. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Not what I want. 2 weeks ago, when we had a stag do come to the show, and the stag's hat said no strippers. So the mates took him to a strip show, but a male strip show. And we actually got him on stage in one of the routines.
Oh man,
mate, he was the best sport in the fucking world. Because we couldn't tell if he was gay or straight. I had no idea until he came off and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to tell my missus about this. He got him on stage and one of the boys actually has to get there and basically over the top of him and just grind, like I'm talking crutch in the face. And he got right in the guy's face and at the end he stood up and everyone clapped for him and I said, mate, you are a weapon.
Yeah.
Good people like you are needed in this world.
Yeah.
Literally.
That's hefty. Don't be if I ever get married, don't be doing that to me. I'm out, bro. Yeah. But mate, just obviously like in sort of like harmony with this, is this when the bodybuilding career sort of, I guess, starts picking up some traction and whatnot?
It helps because you always had to be in shape, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I did my first show and I kind of enjoyed it, didn't enjoy it. It was a lot. Like
it's fucking hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I was taking a lot of gear. This is again, I was just letting my coach tell me what to do, and I looked good, enjoyed it, won the show. But I'm like, I don't think it's for me. Really don't think it's for me.
What part of the bodybuilding wasn't for you at that point?
Just didn't enjoy like the level of emotional space it took, the level of mental space it took. But then the heavy the dieting right at the end. I fucking hate sweet potato and salmon mixed together. It's got to be, if I'm having it, it's got to be cooked in a restaurant, but I can't eat it by itself.
That chicken and rice is that for me, mate.
Really?
Just plain chicken and rice is the worst.
See, that's my go-to because it's a bit of soy sauce. That's just a go-to because it's simple. I can eat it and it's easy. But I didn't like that part at the start. And then my brother moved over and I kind of went for a bit of a split with my ex-girlfriend. And we were like, let's have a go together. So my brother wanted to compete with me. So we did a show together.
That was probably quite nice, wasn't it?
It was magic. Yeah. He pulled out of the first show because he really couldn't kind of get himself into it. He didn't feel ready. So I did the first show and I won the first show. Then my brother went and did a show and then he liked it, but he was like, nah, not for me. So I then did the PCA British titles and I won that. But they were brand new, so they weren't giving out pro cards. So from that I then went to WBFF, did the European Pro-Am and won that as well.
Do you fall in love with bodybuilding at this point?
Yeah, I think 'cause I was winning. It was something I was good at. I knew I have a good physique. I knew I could do this. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's see where this goes. So I won the European Pro-Am.
How do you develop through every stage of the competitions? Because every stage, if I'm right in saying, it's like going from League 2 to League 1, Championship, Premier League, Champions League, right?
Yes and no. Like, depending what it is. So with PCA, UK BFF, everyone used to do that. PCA, it was brand new by bodybuilders for bodybuilders. So it was still quite small. So look, everyone wants to be in the IFBB. Everyone wants to do Olympia. Everyone wants to follow Arnold. So it was, didn't think I was ready for that. I wanted to be a part of something new. Like I learned with Forbidden, I was with something that was new. And then with WBFF, I'm like, okay, everyone does this, so let's do that one. So I jumped on with WBFF and I realized how wank it is.
Why?
So when you go to an athlete meeting, you're told about the federation, you're told about this, that, and the other. The owner of it, fucking Paul Dillett, came in and he goes, like, you're expecting to hear about it, but he came in and basically told us why he's rich, how he's rich, why it's the best federation in the fucking world, and that was it.
Dana White style.
Yeah. I was just like, I almost walked out if I didn't pay 300 quid to do it.
Yeah.
And then when I did the show, I also found out that apparently they kind of, they had control over the winnings, over who won and who placed or whatever it was. So we did that, and then because I didn't promote WBFF or anything like that, they did nothing for me. Yeah. And I was like, I'm a good athlete, why? But you had to promote them, everything about them, be that person. So I was like, I'm not a suck ass, I'm not doing that. So I took time away from that one. In the following year.
Did you have a break from bodybuilding at that point, or you just sort of like coasting?
So I had about a year because I got back on my ex.
Yeah.
And she hated the bodybuilding. I started drinking. Like, it was a horrible situation.
How horrible is it when you, and I'm only saying this because I'm currently going through it, but like you're in a consistent, like good flow of training, like physique wise looks okay. And, you know, it's a different level in terms of what you've experienced to me, but like I'm like happy with where I'm at. And then you fall off and then you fall off.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you're at like baseline. You're like, this can't go on any further because like it's over. Yeah. But like, you know, in that moment, how horrible was it?
Mate, this thing, 'cause I got caught in a relationship again where I wasn't happy, but I was stuck in
she a feeder?
Definitely wasn't a feeder. Although we did drink a lot. We drank a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were things happening in that relationship which I just weren't good for me, but I was stuck in a bad way with certain things I won't go into. But once I kind of got out of that, I was like, okay, let's get myself back on the straight and narrow. So I started getting myself back on, started getting ready to compete again. Then I got the invite to, then I met my ex-wife. We became friends again. This thing, me and her had been friends for years, but people didn't like the fact we were friends. So we stopped talking because our partners didn't like each other. And we basically hung out one night and it was like we'd never had a year apart. It was great. Fucking, we were just like that again, and we became like that. So
that their inclination in the initial stages was like probably right, because there's probably instant chemistry.
But
right?
No, the instant chemistry. Everyone knew it. Everyone kept asking us why we never got together, and we actually eventually got together. I think I was actually meant to get married to my ex, and the day that I was meant to get married, I had a house party, and my ex-wife actually came. She goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Having a house party."
You didn't go to the wedding?
No, we cancelled the wedding.
Oh.
This was actually.
I was like,
sorry.
what?
No, sorry. Yeah.
I was like, you're cold, bro.
No, sorry. I left that relationship in October.
Yeah.
And then we were meant to get married like at the end of January. And right, so I had a house party, and fucking she goes, "I'm in an Uber all the way over." And from basically that night, me and her barely spent a day apart. Oh, wow. And it was a really beautiful relationship. But anyway, I was prepping through that period. Yeah. And I got an invite from PCA to go and do the Super Series.
Right.
So
what's the Super Series?
So the Super Series was run, I think it was at Body Power, and it was an international event where it was just like getting everyone together for the big stage to compete at Body Power. And I got on that stage, got the invite, and that was basically a pro card because it was a pro division, and I came second. And the guy who beat me, fucking hands down, Mokhtar, absolute weapon of a human. His body, his physique, nuts. And it was really good humbling experience because I'd gone through win to win to win to win to then placing second. Then about a couple months later, we had the PCA World Series. He didn't do it, and I ended up winning.
Nice.
Which is good. And I am the only PCA pro world champion muscle model because I got rid of the category after that. So.
Nice.
So when you're going through these stages, are you delving further into pharmacology at that point?
Yes and no. My body responds to little.
Really?
Which is good. Like, don't get me wrong, there's been a period where I was taking way too much at the, from what one guy who, he knew what he was talking about, but again, he had me on a lot and it wasn't good. But either way, I usually take a lot less, which is quite good now. Though.
When you say like little, like what's little to you? Because I'm sure little to us and little to you is probably.
So at the moment now, like if I was to look at it, 300 tests, 400 primo a week, which is fuck all.
Yeah.
Literally fuck all. Like 400 primo a week is the lowest of the dose. And 300 test is still like your kind of low end of it all. So I take quite low doses compared to everyone else. Which is good.
What's the feeling like taking that low compared to what you were previously taking when it was a lot?
I was in a bad way when I was taking that other one. That was also emotionally because I was going through the breakup and all sorts of stuff then.
I've done test and I've done like, you know, a good dosage, and then I've also done a blast.
Yeah. When
I did a blast, mate, my mindset was like disjointed. Like I was definitely more impulsive with my decision making. Now I look at it in hindsight.
Yeah.
And like I didn't realize sort of that the levels that could go to. And it goes fucking pretty deep, bro.
Yeah.
Like to the point where like you're thinking like, actually that's probably not congruent with who I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's kind of my experience with it.
It's this thing, it responds to everyone differently. My experience with it is there's no such thing as roid rage. It accentuates who you are. So if you're a dick, naturally, you're going to be a fucking cunt when you get on this.
If you have a temper, it's going to come out more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, you can't turn around and go, oh, it's just roid rage. It's like, no, you're a hidden dick. But that's the thing. And some people feel shitty on it. Some people feel empowered. Some people.
So interesting you say that, because like me personally, I don't, there's a certain thing that really frustrates me is disrespect. I don't like feeling disrespected. So when I was on a blast, when I feel even a minor bit of disrespect, that's what would like inflame my temper.
Yeah.
So like I know exactly what you're saying. It makes you more of like who you are to a certain degree, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think my tolerance for incompetence just got more.
Oh mate.
Or less, sorry.
yeah. Just like this, like the speed of people used to frustrate me.
Yeah.
I'd be like, you need to do that faster.
Yeah, literally. But now I think this is also when you're early on, first start taking, you've got to learn your body with it all now. Like I'm still one of the most chilled humans you'll meet. Yeah. Like sometimes I'm practically asleep. Like, that's how it is. And people are like, you take this, don't you have, like, I've been seeing some girls where they're like, oh, you take steroids. Don't you get it? I'm like, no. I'm guessing your partner or your previous partner was a bit of a dickhead. Yeah, okay, that's probably why. And thankfully the side effects as well, I don't get that. Like sometimes my sex drive drops, but this is where if you're going to take it, do it properly, do your research, but usually work with a coach or someone that knows what they're talking about. So when something does come up, you don't just push it down, you can talk about it, because there's usually a fix. Like unless you've been blasting for 5-6 years, unless you've been going for 5-6 years and never come off, well, okay, there you're going to have some issues, but do something about it. Yeah. And unfortunately, thou shalt not be a cunt. Don't fucking just if you are prone to roid rage, or not roid rage, if you are prone to being angry or to having temper issues, learn techniques through either breath work or other moments to catch yourself in that moment.
Meditation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Get some sunlight, all of it.
Exactly. And people go, I didn't catch myself, so it's never going to work. It's like, it's not it's a process, mate. Yeah. Like the time you catch yourself, cool, acknowledge it. Then you'll start to catch yourself more and more over time.
There's a lot of self-development that goes into
100%.
When you start taking something like steroids or TRT or whatever it is, like you've really got to understand yourself as a person.
And also your anchors. Like, you know, for me, like I know that cardio helps me with just feeling a little less temporary, or like, you know, I'm not saying I'm like a fucking nutter or something like that, but like a little less short and stuff like that. So like if I was to do it again, I'd know that I do faster cardio in the morning, just to alleviate some of that tension.
Exactly. You need to find what works for you. But like with my clients and my ethos with anyone I work with is it's 50% mindset, 30% nutrition, 20% training. If you're not ready and you're not in the right space in your head, like this is taking gear or not. Like I work with business owners, actors, musicians, like all these sorts of people who are constantly go, go, go. And one thing you find is they're excelling in all these other areas, but the areas that are lacking their nutrition and their training, are obviously the lacking parts. But if you take a step back and start to work on yourself and the inner you, everything levels up. Not only does your nutrition, your training level up, but you end up leveling up because you have that moment to go inside and to find that inner bit of calm. Because those moments where you may have got angry and you may have then just lost that opportunity, or that moment where you weren't thinking straight because everything was cloudy. So it's like, oh, fuck, well, I'm not going to deal with that, which could have been a good opportunity for you. If you take that time to educate yourself with further podcasts, taking different opinions, have breath work, do ice baths, do whatever it may be, some way to spend time on you to grow you, then you're going to open yourself up to more opportunities for growth. And this is why I teach this to all of my clients, especially when they're taking gear, because like you need to use these moments where you're stressed. You need to go, breathe, respond, don't react. And I've seen changes in my clients, the ones that do take it, that have been able to learn to respond and have made the changes in their own personal life as well from these moments. Yeah.
Yeah, mate, I rate that, and that makes sense. I think the mindset is definitely something that's overlooked with it, 100%. And I think the benefits of it are, you know, enormous.
Yeah.
And I guess with it, it's also like, if you're not in the right headspace, you shouldn't be doing this because it will add fuel to the fire.
Oh, mate. Okay, so if someone's not in the right headspace, they go, I want to lose weight. Okay. They're going to try it and they'll do it for 2 weeks. Anything's going to switch them off.
Yeah.
Anything's going to. No, I had a bad day. No, that I ate a bad meal. I had an argument. Whatever it is, it's going to throw them off. They're going to come up with excuses and end up fucking coming off the wagon and going, didn't work. They're going to go to fad diets. They're going to go for quick fixes. They're going to do everything to try to get rid of everything quickly. Mm-hmm. And they don't think about it. Like the two things I usually use is a millionaire. If someone wins the lottery, they haven't learned the habits and the processes to actually earn that money, to keep the money, so they lose a lot of the money. You look at people that do The Biggest Loser, they lose stupid amounts of weights in 12 weeks in unhealthy ways. Yeah. Most of them end up putting it on back and more because they haven't learned the habits, they haven't put the time in to be able to do everything properly. And no one teaches the mindset to go with it. This is why I was saying to you earlier, most days of the week, I will always send out a message to my clients. And it's in the morning, and it'll usually be a motivational video from YouTube. Well, that's how it started. But now I'll then send out a podcast or something that I've listened to, or something that I've heard, a phrase that I've heard. I'll put that in there, but then I'll break down my interpretation of it, of how it can help them or how it's helped me. Because I want people to start thinking differently. And the way I see that there's no better way to explain experience or explain something than your own experience. So I will use something from my life, or it's like, this is what's happened to me. Because look, most of the stuff, yes, everyone's experience is different, but most of the stuff that's happened to me is no doubt happened to someone else in some form. So there's always going to be some form of relatability in there. So I'm able to help switch their mindsets around that. Yeah. And like I said to you as well, one of my clients, when he first started, mate, he was struggling. Yeah. Like when I say struggling, he was struggling with being able to stop smoking weed, arguments with his partner, not knowing how he was comfortable in his job, couldn't be fucked going to the gym, all this sort of stuff. I've started sending him these podcasts, but talking to him, like I look forward to his check-in. Like most check-ins are about a video response, about 2 or 3 minutes. His is about 8 to 10 because he puts so much detail in there. But then 9 times out of 10, I've got a tear in my eye because there's some form of growth that he's had within his own personal life, which has helped him level up in so many fucking ways. And the fact that I've been able to be a part of that is amazing. But it also reinforces why mindset behind all of this is fucking everything. Yeah. Because we spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with ourselves. Like no one knows our true experience. No one knows what we're actually, I can tell you what I'm thinking, but do you actually know what I'm feeling? You got no fucking idea.
That must be like the best thing about doing what you do in terms of online coaching, that you can experience the change through people as well. Yeah. So like you live the experience with them. Yeah. And do you find that now, like online coaching, it's not just, like training coaching, it's more lifestyle coaching rather than just the training? Yeah.
That's why I work with the people I do. I don't prep coach because I know what I'm like on peak week and I'm a prick. So no, I don't want to deal with it. But being able to help someone in their life is why I do what I do, because their growth helps my growth. Because they'll come to me and say something that this has happened. If I don't know that, I'll be able to find out. But then I can hear their story and I'm like, oh shit. Wow, okay, that's the level of growth you've had. Like one of his stories is he started helping someone because I got diagnosed with ADHD started last year. And it was a process for me to go through. He's got it as well, but then in the workspace, he's had someone that has been struggling with struggling as a neurodivergent, but other people around her weren't listening to her, paying attention. He's been able there to be the support to her. Not only that, her work is now thriving, and he's also been recommended for a position. I can't remember exactly the position it was, but he's now been to be in a position where people can come and talk to him in the business.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have done that beforehand.
It's just like when you throw a pebble in a pond, right? It's the ripple effect of it. Like you help someone, they help someone else, and then you never know how far it stretches. But obviously with the coaching, like you start with your own sort of, I guess, personal development in the bodybuilding community, like the bodybuilding world. How does the coaching sort of come hand in hand with it? Is it whilst you're doing the shows, you just think, I could teach people this, or like how do you sort of pick up online coaching, I guess?
So it was, when I was in the army, everyone always told me I'd be a PT. When I got my personal training qualification, probably when I was like 17. And then when I moved over here, I was like, well, I need a job. So I got a job working in a gym. And I've been working in gyms on and off, and it worked well because I'd coach 2 or 3 days a week, then I'd travel and perform. Then when COVID hit, I was like, well, may as well start putting everything online. So I started studying building an online presence that way.
Is that when it first started then?
Properly.
How did you feel putting yourself out there? Because like we've experienced it with the podcast. We felt it was quite a big thing for us, to be honest with you, because like we have never done something along those lines. Obviously you're a performer, so I can imagine it's slightly easier, but the online world's a completely different like ecosphere.
100%. I've got no issue being on camera. I said I've got no shame. Clearly, I'm a stripper. But
1,500 people is mad.
I've got no. Dude, Britain's Got Talent was 2,500 plus the judges plus cameras.
Wow.
Yeah, and we did Britain's Got Talent twice. We did it this year as well. But it's I don't know. You go from having 3,000-4,000 likes on a photo of me with my kid off to them putting something educational up there, and can be a kick in the teeth. But I soon realized that the less likes I got, the more money I made.
Really?
Oh, mate, it was wild.
Yeah.
So I was like,
they're vanity metrics, aren't they?
Yeah, it's silly. Like I don't chase it. Like, yeah, cool. It's nice to go, who's actually liked it, not the amount.
You must get a fair few birds sliding in your DMs.
I mean, mate, I get birds and guys. It's
what, the guys as well?
Mate, I've got a very big gay following. Very big gay following. Yeah.
You must, to be fair, you must do it if you're a male stripper. Like
100%, really big gay following.
I bet they pay more as well, don't they?
I do OnlyFans, don't I?
That's what I'm saying.
Like it makes money, and this is the thing, by doing something like that, because I have a physique that I've worked on, and people want to pay to appreciate that. Fucking go for gold.
Yeah.
But again, shows I've got no shame to be on camera. But I like to be able to educate people.
Yeah.
And being able to put something across. Like there are all different types of educators on Instagram, and I went through a phase of comparing myself to some of them, because you look at something like Ben Carpenter, Lee Norton, James Smith, all these boys, they're bringing a certain level of content out there, and it's like, oh my God, I need to be at that level. But actually, no, by living true to myself and doing how I do my content, it works because it helps people.
But that's a journey, right? You don't start there.
Oh, fuck no.
Yeah. Like in the initial stages, you are competing with them in your own head, right?
100%. But this is the thing. It's like any business brand or whatever it is. What you start with is not what you're going to finish with. Like you will change your brand, you will change your content, you will change the way of writing so many times until you find what suits best with you. And it's only now that I feel like the content that I'm starting to put out again, because I fell out of it for a little bit. Like I was going through a bit of a dark period recently with this whole divorce stuff, and going into the ceremony and everything put me in a pretty shitty space where there were days I didn't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And now my content is helping a lot. But the other thing I try to do is I want to be as candid as possible.
Yeah, that's the best way to be.
Authenticity always wins, 100%.
But I don't know if you've seen some of my stories. Like, if I'm having a bad day, I'll fucking talk about it.
Yeah.
I will happily talk about it, because you can have other people with big social media followings where life is great. This is it. The second the camera turns off, they're bawling their fucking eyes out. Like, no, guys, I'm having a shit day today. I can't even get out of bed. It's 11 o'clock. Don't know what to do with myself. Really struggling.
I think that's probably way more relatable to your community, or to anyone's community, to be fair, because like, who is just 100% all the time having the best life? Like,
and we all go through it as well, right?
Yeah.
Like it's literally a roller coaster, highs and lows,
100%. But people don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, we've all had lows, haven't we?
For sure.
Do you know what I mean? Fucking lower than lows, mate, as well. Like, and it's just part and parcel of life. So whenever someone's like just 100% on it and 100% happy, I just always think you're a fraud, mate.
Yeah, it's true.
What are you dealing with? Like, that's it. And I think we've been brought up in a generation where, like, our parents, especially my grandparents, like I take a lot of, from my previous relationship, I took a lot of what my grandparents were and my parents were of, you guys they're amazing together, but they work through thick and thin. You don't knock down a bridge, you repair it. Where obviously it's not the case anymore. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
So you can go through and get divorced. Where also as men, we're always thought, nah, fucking walk it off. You'll be right. Harden up. Don't cry. Don't do this sort of shit. Where actually, no. Like, dude, cry.
Yeah.
Fucking cry. Get it out. Doesn't demasculate you. Doesn't make you less of a man. Doesn't make you any less of a human.
Makes you more of a man, to be fair.
Exactly. Because real men can cry. Like, anyone could just fucking cry.
Yeah, because it's an emotion and we're all humans. So.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Emotions are there to be felt. Because when we don't feel those emotions, those are the things that get pushed down and pushed down and pushed down. And you see it with people that may suffer cancer, anything. These emotions we don't deal with, as much as we don't think about them, not doing this, that shit's festering. Like, what is that going to cause you later on in life? Like, you can hold on to something, get to fucking 70 years old, and next you know, that whole thing's just come back up and kick you right in the ass.
I literally watched a video this week specifically on how trauma and feeling depressed can make you more susceptible to illnesses.
Oh yeah.
And having a lower immune system. And I literally thought, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, it does.
Because it lowers your vibration, doesn't it?
100%, mate.
So, and, like, I'm a very big believer everything's energy.
1000%.
And this is the thing, like, energy, so you can walk into a room that's fucking joyous. I feel that. You can walk into something negative. I feel that.
Yeah.
If you're putting that negativity in your body, because our brain doesn't know what's true and what's false. So what we tell it, what we think and what is, that's the reality that's happening to our brain. No matter what we're viewing and seeing or how we're experiencing it, he's got no idea.
That's true. I've just listened to a book called The Power of Positive Thinking.
Yeah.
And they specify so much about what you're telling yourself when your brain comes to fruition.
Yeah.
Like you can literally like talk yourself. Obviously there's a lot of work that goes into it, but you can talk yourself into like being happy. But like there's a lot of work and you have to like work through things for yourself.
Yeah.
But like if you're feeling negative and you're telling yourself negative things, then your life will be negative.
Fam, I actually needed to hear that right then. Because like this week I felt pretty negative.
Yeah.
Just being honest with you. And I hear that and I'm like, I needed to be reminded of that, because it's like that. I don't know if it's Jim Rohn or it's Tony Robbins or someone in that line of work, Al Nightingale, where he's like, for a whole week, you just need to have positive thoughts. And every time you have a negative thought, you have to restart the week. And it's like that trial. Yeah. When I did that, I felt so much better. Yeah. Genuinely felt better than like, for example, if I compare it to this week, I'm like, I've been negative, mate.
Yeah.
And like, it's just, sometimes you need to hear things in certain moments. I felt like I needed to hear that, if that makes sense.
And at certain moments as well, like you said, like hearing that like now and then and there, like for instance, for me, like the book, like listen to the book and I've been able to catch negative thoughts that I would never catch, never have caught before. They might not be like serious negative thoughts, but just like little ones.
Yeah.
I think in my head like, oh, you shouldn't think that, or like don't think that, or don't think that. Yeah. Like obviously, like, you know, you're going to think negative things, like it's impossible to not. Yeah. It's impossible, but like catching them, it's hard to catch them. But off the back of listening to that book, I felt a little bit more conscious to them. By no stretch am I like thinking positive 24/7, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah,
you got to be an observer of your thoughts.
Sure.
Like I'm listening to the Untethered Soul at the moment.
Nice.
Which is a magic book, but it's becoming an observer and being like, cool, I see that thought. That's what the thought is. If it's something that's obviously taking you for a while in the week, okay, cool. What is that? Let's dive a bit deeper. What is this actually coming back to? And then when you have that negative thought, challenge it. Like I've been challenging a friend this morning who's been doing the all or nothing sort of thinking. Oh no, this is going to ruin me because this is what's happening, and now I know it's going to happen. I'm like, but who? How do you know? What's your evidence behind this? Like challenge that thought and then prove that thought wrong, because you'll find a lot of the shit we tell ourselves isn't actually fucking going on, because we're predicting the future of what could be happening. And actual fact, we have no evidence to prove that's exactly happened. Yeah. And that 9 times out of 10, as soon as that moment happens, it's got nowhere near what you thought it was.
It's true. It is true. And I think we're all fucking guilty of it, because like you think of the worst outcome and it's usually nowhere near as bad as that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the big thing that I really take towards how I coach.
Do you think you've learned that from coaching?
Yes and no.
So a part of it, right?
Yeah, like I think when I first started PTing, so my whole journey with this self-discovery, self-realization really started when I was first PTing in Barnet, and I was given a book, Asking It Is Given, and that book was, you could receive the book how you wanted to, whether it was religious or not, but what I took from it was how we talk to ourselves through affirmations and mindset and everything, but then affirmations are nothing without work. So one thing I found when I started implementing this in my life, not only did I feel better, is things started popping up in my life that I was wanting, because I was subconsciously working towards those things, because that's what I wanted to do. Then I started diving into doing, playing around with psychedelics and doing like mushroom trips, obviously ayahuasca, just being around interesting people, having interesting in-depth conversations. Yeah. But also, again, my previous relationship taught me a lot about myself.
What did it specifically teach you?
Well, besides what I want and what I don't want in a partner, like there were things where I was quite, what do you call it? Like very narrow-minded.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, tunnel vision with certain things. And like one of the most beautiful things she taught me was when you have someone on the tube and they're asking for money, don't put your head down, look at them, pay attention. It's still a person that's really struggling and putting their heart out.
Yeah.
Like you don't know. And when they walk past, don't just put your head down. Like, sorry, mate, I don't have something, or mate, here, I have this. Like I got a whole bag of Haribos the other day. I was like, mate, I don't know if this is going to help. And he's like, mate, I love that. Thank you. Like that's an actual person. So give that to them. So that was one thing that taught me.
I always think with those guys, they would be wicked cold callers.
Oh, mate, 100%.
Because like they'll ask anyone for money, so you could just do that in sales and you'd be all right.
Yeah, like 100%. But I also the respect for them for the vulnerability to be able to do that, because you're in a place where you're like, fuck it, I'm going to stand there in front of these people and go, I'm going to get turned down. So yeah, be great callers, but I'm going to get turned down constantly and may walk away with a couple of quid.
Yeah.
But she taught me that. There was, with things like mental health, being able to properly, through the experiences that I had with being a mirror in a lot of things, being able to know, to have a hold space for people, to be able to listen and then respond instead of listen to react, to be able to put people first, to be able to, there's so many different things that I put away from it that overall it helped me grow as a human. Like I copped from that social media thing. I had people messaging me, some of her friends, going, get the fuck out of the country, go home, do all this sort of shit. Like I received some negative input from it all.
What was the social media thing?
So I'm saying I'm not going to go into it.
Oh, fair, yeah. But like something like that was out of order.
It was something that was completely out of order.
Yeah.
And you had people that were going, oh, yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, well done, you're so brave for talking about it. But then the people that knew us were like messaging me going, what the fuck? And I think that's the thing, going back to that apology, that's, again, whilst I've learned so much through this relationship and that whole thing, this whole past couple of months has taught me a lot, helped me grow to who I am now, where someone can't apologize and truly accept a responsibility and even put it into words, where now I'm one of the most empathetic humans that you'll ever find. Well, you know, there's probably much more than me, but
yeah,
like
compared to what you were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
it's all about accountability, right?
100%. Listen, the second you own up to your mistakes, the second you own up to who you are and take full responsibility, it's like, I fucked up, without blame to someone else, without this, your own growth that comes from that is phenomenal, because it feels fucking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's some of the biggest things that's taught me. But now I'm looking forward to kind of what's coming for the rest of my life, because I can now have conversations with people that I've never even fucking met. And I will happily listen to their life story sometimes. But
preach.
Exactly. But then give them a little bit of advice back. And it's like, oh shit, thank you.
Yeah.
Because they were comfortable enough to talk to me like that.
Mate, I rate it. And I think like that's the journey we're all trying to go to, and it's the destination we all want to get to eventually, but like at the same time it is a hard process. Like I struggle with certain things, and I know you struggle with certain things, Shao, but like as long as you're consistently trying to be better and you're conscious of those mistakes, then like you can learn and grow.
100%.
Bro, I am obviously interested though, like you've kind of dashed it in there in the mix slightly. You start at OnlyFans.
So I did OnlyFans when it first came out in 2017. What was it? Because I split up from my ex at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it. I was doing muscle worship, which basically I stand in a room, my shirt off, and people can touch my muscles, kiss my muscles, and all that sort of stuff.
That must be mental.
Oh, mate, I've had some.
Is it men?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Listen, I'm very comfortable with who I am. So
I get that, bro. I'm just like, that's mental.
Oh, dude,
muscle worship.
Yeah.
They just come in and kiss your muscles.
Literally, they sit there for an hour, kiss.
I've just never heard that before.
Oh yeah, dude.
I've heard of it,
world,
yeah.
the bodybuilding world, my friend.
What do these guys look like?
They range, man.
Yeah,
all different types of guys. Like, I've had people just want to suck on my toes. I've had people sniff my feet, underarms. I've had people literally
pits.
Yeah, I've had people kiss my ass and have a wank. I've had all sorts, mate. Like,
and have a wank.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, you must have been charging a bomb for that.
Yeah. I mean, if I could talk money, it's I'm quite high end. If you come into a bodybuilder that's got 3 pro cards, all these wins, and you've got someone who you literally look at like, yeah, I really want you. Well, if you want me, pay it.
Yeah.
Because it's also a bit of a domination scene as well. Like, I am one of the most chilled guys in the fucking world.
Yeah.
Well, but I stopped doing the OnlyFans when I got with my ex, and then my best mate now, he's been doing it for years, and we're both like, we're literally the same person. Like, let's jump back into it. And I was trying to be him, try to be the dominated guy. Like, we still do a bit of it through the FinDom sort of stuff. But I just finding my feet with it is, I am not all about being the guy like, fuck you, can't sniff my feet, do all this sort of shit. Like, I do it in a role play if I have to, or make it a custom video. But most of it is, I'm just like, I just enjoy being the sexy, funny guy that's quite chilled. You can have a chat with. I'll be very upfront with you. But just a bit of nonsense, really, and it's a bit of fun. Plus, now I've been through all of that and seeing the direction I'm going, is being able to work with collaborate with other girls with it is something that I'm just starting to get into now, which is exciting because it's another avenue for me to grow in that sort of industry. Like, me and my mate do collaborations together where we've literally done muscle worship together, and it's quite funny because we bounce off each other.
Nice. Yeah, I bet it's good banter between you two.
Oh, mate, we did a photo shoot for I think about a month ago, which I'm doing one again actually, where you paid a decent amount, and basically we stomp on him, we sit on him, we kick him in the balls. We fight.
Punt on the balls. That must hurt.
So it's not a total punt, but you give him a gentle tap.
Yeah.
Fart on him. Burp.
Mate, that is great.
Burp on him.
Yeah. Burp in his face.
Fart on him.
Literally.
You're both just looking at each other, farting on him.
There's one point I'm sitting there watching. He's there licking my mate's feet, and I'm like, oh, you little cunt, get that fucking big toe in your fucking mouth. Don't fucking stop. No. And then she grab him in the back of the head.
That's mental.
This is all on camera, isn't it? It's all been filmed. Grab him on the back of the head. I said, oh, you dickhead, open your fucking mouth. Fucking suck it. So there's that. Or there's a photo. I'll show you the photo at the end of it.
Farting on him is crazy.
Burped in the face.
Farting on him, bro.
I've got a photo I'll show you at the end of this. Okay, my mate's bent over. I've got him on the back of the head holding his nose in my mate's ass. But this is the thing, it's wild, but it's effective. And I think working in the industry that I have is I've learned the amount of fetishes people have. Like, fucking people fat shaming people or kink shaming people is the weirdest thing.
But mate, farting in the face and getting hard off that is nuts, mate.
Well, that's the thing. To you, that's nuts.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Them, it's fucking.
I know, but like to the 99.9% of the world, that is not appealing.
What if I told you get paid 10 quid a fart?
No, bro, I'm out.
No, I get paid 10 quid a fart.
Oh, you get paid. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I think it's funny from your perspective. I just mean, I don't understand how someone could get hard off that. Yeah, like that blows my mind.
But this is the thing. Like, I've seen some of the fetishes that are out there. I'm just like,
what's the craziest fetish you've ever seen?
Blowing up 12 balloons until they popped on camera. That would have been funny for my housemates. Blowing up the 12 balloons on camera until they popped, then sending him the balloon remnants via post.
That's weird.
Strange.
That's random, isn't it?
Another guy bought me off Amazon. He bought me 3 pairs of diesel jocks, black, grey and white.
That's decent.
3 pairs of Calvins, black, grey and white.
Yeah.
A book, an aftershave, a bag and something else. Yeah. And all he requested was I wear the white pairs for 3 days each. Don't wash them. Do everything in them and then send them to him.
Strange.
Mental.
I got a photo 2 weeks later. after they'd fermented in the post for 2 weeks.
Fermented?
I knew exactly what I'd done in that underwear.
Yeah. Oh,
and then there's got a photo of him lying over his face. Bro. I mean, look, as much as I was like, what? I'm like, you do you.
Yeah,
but at the same time, sometimes it must just surprise you. You're like, that's too far, that one.
Mate, I've had a request which has come through recently, which I'm still going to film, which I'm just like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. Try it.
I rate it that you're just like, fuck it, I'll do it. But it's just mental.
Okay, like I said to you beforehand, my mate, I'd been trying to put something into words for ages. And when he went to his dad, and his dad was like, mate, I earn a load of money. Like, if you're unsure of what you want to do with your life, but you can literally make more than I make in a year with your dick on camera, do it. And to be fair, my parents were the exact same thing. Like, my parents are the most liberal, beautiful people in the world. Like, there's still some things I say, I'm like, Mum, you can't say that. But they're old school Australians. One other story. Forbidden Nights, for me a show, my parents had flown over to surprise me. Now, I didn't know this. I was doing the World Series. I was doing the Super Series, sorry. They flew over. Before the show, I was standing out with the compere, and there's a big screen behind me. And he's like, girls, Ozzy's parents have sent him a video to wish him well for the competition. Do you want to watch it? They're like, yep. So it was mum and dad on camera, wishing me well, giving me some Tim Tams. And I was like, Tim Tams are like a better penguin. And then it was played the video. I'm sitting there, had a tear in my eye. Next thing I lifted the screen up, mum and dad are standing there with my Tim Tams. Yeah.
That must have been a nuts experience.
I've still got the video. It still brings tears to my eyes. But anyway, they sat down in the front, and my mum was right in front of me for the routine we called laundrette, where we basically finished with a towel over our crotch, but a soapy water coming down our front.
Yeah.
Now, 2 weeks beforehand, the boss, his mum, was sitting in one of the seats, and she was sitting right in front of him. And before he went to do that, he goes, "Oh, Oz, switch with me. I don't want to do this in front of mum." And I was like, Nah,
you're staying there, bro.
2 weeks later, because I didn't realize my parents were going to be there, I'm like, "Oh, bro, switch with me." He goes, "Nah,
no
fuck you." I'm doing that next. I've just got my mum going. I was like, I could never get that sight out of my head.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Mate, it's mental. It's a crazy world that I guess I've never delved in. But I guess that kind of brings us full circle to like where we're at today, right?
Yeah.
We always kind of like wrap things up on a few questions, but like one in particular for me is like, and I don't think you're going to have an answer yet. I'll just be honest with you. Yeah. But I'm curious to know what you think it is. Like, what's the next chapter for you moving forward?
Oh, yeah, definitely know that. So this whole tattoo that I've got here, that's the end of a chapter, start of a new. Okay, so it's the growth that I've had over the past year, but the growth that I've had recently. Forbidden Nights, we're taking that to Australia.
Nice.
So me and my mate are going to open it in Australia because there's nothing like it. There is nothing like it. And Forbidden, as you can see there, I've literally got Forbidden tattooed there. I've even got it done behind my ear because they saved my life. Nice. I would not be who I am without them. So to be able to take this level of show there has been a dream. So I'm going to do that. I'll still be online coaching, which is good. But me and my mate, we're literally just going all in on OnlyFans.
Love it.
Like, we're just like, fuck it, let's live the life we want to live. Like, I want to retire in Thailand. Koh Phangan is my second home.
Nice.
I want to retire there. I know that's years down the track, but that's where I want to be. I want to be close to my family. I want to be able, like, for what I'm paying now, I literally rent a bedroom in London. Okay, my mate's living in a one-bed apartment down in Brighton. For what we both pay per month, we could literally get a wicked 2-bedroom flat overlooking the Brisbane River. Like,
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So go home, do that, launch a show, dive in OnlyFans, do only coaching, get to know my family, and just live my life. And then from whatever happens after that, like, that happens. Like, at one point I was going to be a therapist, which still may happen. But to be fair, I enjoy educating people, but sometimes sitting there for an hour, 10 hours a day.
It's draining.
Yeah. So we'll see.
No, that's amazing. Mate, I think I'm going to leave it on that.
Yeah, I think
man, that was amazing. First things first, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
Like, you're spreading a great message, mate, and you've lived one fucking hell of a life.
Yeah.
And I'm only 33, man. There's so much more to come.
Man, I think you're a legend, mate, for sure, mate. And appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you?
So Instagram is Ash Edelman IFBB Pro. Do I need to spell that? ASHEDELMAN IFBB Pro. Trust me, I need to do that. My website is aestheticscoaching.com, which is ASHTHETICS coaching.com. For those who want my OnlyFans page,
plug.
King,
get in, bro.
Yeah,
get
King
it
_ Aussie OZZY, or Instagram is King _ OZZY, and I'm not going to give you my phone number.
Cool, bro. We're going to leave it on that. Thanks
Guys,
again.
thank you so much.